Hey y'all, this is Halisi.
And this is Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, travel, moving abroad as we build generational wealth.
Yes.
All right, sweetheart, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we are going to talk about moving your family abroad, but also what if your spouse isn't willing to do it just yet? How do you convince them to do that?
That's right. That's right. But first, if you are new to our channel, then let me tell you, Rick and I, about 6 years ago, as we were approaching retirement age, looked at our savings account, look at our investments account, 401k, and it looked crazy. Crazy. But about 3 years ago, we got our financial act together. We changed the way we did things, and we went from negative 22,000 to over 800,000 in net worth. And you, my friend, can do the same thing.
Yes, you can.
So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please hit the like, subscribe, and that notification bell so you know when we drop a new video.
Yes.
We are going to get right to our special guests and bring them on. I'm so excited. Hey, Lamar and Angela.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
We're good. We are good.
Good,
How are
good,
you guys?
We're good.
We're good now because, things are working out for our Portugal move. But, it was
right.
like touch and go,
I know
touch
that's-
and go, touch and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to get started and start at the very beginning because, folks, you guys know that Angela and I are Vacarians. We met through Stephanie Perry.
Shout out to all the Vacarians in the house.
That's right. We met online, and I don't know what it was, but she and I would chat when we would see each other in the chat and kind of became internet friends.
Yep.
Right. And so when we had the meetup in Cancun, I was looking for her because I knew she was coming and I was looking for her. And she found me first.
Yes.
But go ahead, tell the story.
What was funny is where we were staying at the Airbnb we were staying at, and I saw her walking back and forth through the pool and the kids and stuff. And I was like, I bet that's a lady that you were telling me about that you're looking for at this meetup. I said, next time I see her, I'm going to ask her, but maybe you should ask her because I think that's who she is. And it was.
Yeah. And
they stayed right on top of us.
I think I was taking selfies by the pool,
That's why I didn't want to approach you and freak you out or anything like that.
And what did I say? I said, is she pretty?
Yeah, she did say.
I said, then it's probably her.
Yeah, she did say, if she's pretty, that's her.
That's what I said. So one of the things that I remember, Angela, when we were talking about dreaming about moving abroad, you said to me, I'm so ready to do this, but my husband is not quite into it yet.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yep. I have been, if I'm honest, I've probably been thinking about this since 2011, 2012, or what have you. But it really wasn't the right time for us. Our kids were very small at the time. We're the only, on my husband's side, he's the only child that has grandkids for his parents and things like that. So I wouldn't have dreamed of wanting to move abroad because,
Yeah, well, my mom at the time was quite ill, with multiple illnesses, and we wanted the kids to have as much time with her as possible.
Yeah.
She came up every holiday when the kids were out of school and spent a week, that kind of thing. And any weekend that was a long weekend, she wanted to come and visit.
So and his mom could burn. Okay. Burn. So I appreciated those visits.
Sounds like my mom and Rick.
Yes. So that probably wouldn't have been a good time. Both sets of parents were still alive.
Right.
My dad and my mom had not gotten sick yet.
Right.
So it's just over the progression of time, you start to realize, and as parents begin to, as they begin to make transition and things of that nature, things start looking a little different.
Right.
Start looking a little different. So I don't think I really was thinking that it was a possibility, even when we attended the Exodus Summit in 2020, the very first Exodus Summit. I recommend it highly. But even then, I remember sitting there at my desk going, oh, no. Wow. And I've always said to them, and I think it's kind of, my kids think it's a joke as it, you know, when I say it, oh, you know, when I moved to my beachfront villa, or, you know, my beachfront villa, or it's been the Dominican Republic, it's been Colombia, it's been years of doing lots of research and doing my homework, but this guy just wasn't ready.
No, wasn't ready for several reasons, and just coming from a background of what people call stability. My parents moved into their home the year I was born in 1962, and they remained in that house until their death. So, and they owned that house. So that house was sold back in 2020, but that, to me, I related home to a place and the people, where some would relate it to wherever the people are is home.
Because that's my mentality. Wherever I can be, wherever, as long as I have my folks with me, I'm good. We can be wherever, as long as my people with them, as long as this guy's with me,
you're good. Yeah.
So I kept telling Angela, it's a have to. It wasn't so much a want to, because moving to me is not an adventure. It's not fun.
Well, it's not fun for anybody, really.
And so it's a have to.
But I think the stars really just began to align in 2020. Things began to fall in place. Shout out to the pandemic.
Yes.
You know, for making things happen in a sense, and just kind of bringing about a different awareness of life is short.
Sure.
I mean, life is really short. And, you know, we were definitely caught up in that cycle of get up, go to work, come home, go to bed. Get up, go to work, come home, go to bed. And then after a while, you begin to really start to question, is this it?
Is this
what's
all
this
there
about?
is to life?
Yeah.
Sure. And there were some catalysts that happened with, you know, our house journey in the United States that pushed this along. That made it something that I lost that whole American dream thought.
That's I think he had his wake up call that it's a scam, folks.
It's a scam.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's a scam.
It's a scam.
Right. I called it a Ponzi scheme because realistically, I mean, who really stays in their house for the entire mortgage like my parents did?
But moreover than that, we were just really beginning to look hard at the United States and looking at, I mean, first of all, 2020 was a crazy year that we've got the election.
Yes.
And the person who shall not be named, but was former president, that rhymes with Corange, you know, that, you know, it began to show, America began to show itself in ways that had already been there, but I could not ignore that this is really what this country is turning into. And
no.
Ooh.
It didn't turn into.
Ooh.
It was there.
True.
It was just that rump.
It was
the rump made it permissible to be this way. People had thoughts of being this way, but they had to be politically correct. They had to do the things that were nice.
Right.
And he, as my grandmother would say, he put it back into fashion to be bigoted, racist, discriminatory, and marginalize people of color and of different origins, sexual orientation, whatever. And he made it
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the president's doing it, then it must be okay.
Right.
2020 was crazy in so many ways. Yeah. But what I'm hearing, we're gonna say hi to all the folks that we have watching right now. Agent Orange, that's so funny, Greta. But it sounds to me like just the same with us. And I think Rick got there first. because
Oh,
I was working in politics, right?
right.
And so these were my friends.
Right, right. Same thing here, but I think it was still the reverse for us. I was working and have been just a part of the Poor People's Campaign, and those are my family. That is my movement. That whole aspect of liberation theology is my
Right.
core, and
Right.
so getting up, and that was really what was motivating me to get up and fight every day. And so for me, in a large part, it was, I mean, just the struggle was real in terms of, oh, do I stay here and fight, or do I just go deuces?
Peace
You know?
out.
Adios, Estados Unidos.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And it felt very, almost felt bipolar in a sense, because one minute I'm getting arrested, I'm on the front lines, we're protesting, we're picketing at the Supreme Court, we are out there, and on the other hand, I'm looking at books going, Mexico. It
Yes.
felt very disjointed for a moment there.
I get it. Let's say hello to some of the folks who are always on. Hello, Tunisia and Venus.
Hello,
You'll
hello.
see a lot of Angela. You will see a lot of the same
Oh, hey,
folks
There's
Greta.
right?
Greta. Yeah.
And Kenya, hey,
Yes.
and Auntie Trey,
Auntie
Auntie
Trey,
Trey, how you
what's
doing?
up?
right, from the ATL,
From the
right? And I know
ATL.
Venus and Greta are representing New York.
Mm-hmm.
Tam Loves. This
Tam.
seems like a new name.
It does.
Welcome. And if you're
Thank
not,
you.
I'm sorry I missed you last time. Hey.
Yeah.
Adelia, we love you.
Hey, Adelia.
Hey,
How you
Adelia.
doing?
Woo, woo. I think that's when we mentioned Vicarious. So Anita is in the
Anita.
house, right? And finally made it for live.
Yay.
We're very happy. We are
Yes.
very happy that
Welcome.
you did.
Welcome.
Wait, another new name.
Melly.
Melly?
Okay.
Is it Melly? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Hey, Melly, how you doing?
How you doing?
Welcome.
Welcome.
Put a Q, if you've got questions, put a Q in front of your statement. And then I know, because I know y'all like to chatter back and forth and help each other out and all of that. So if you've got a question for our special guest or for us, put a Q in
Yes.
front of it, and that'll make it easier to find, because these two brave souls drove to Mexico.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
With their teenagers. So we're going to tell you all about it.
No.
The driving to Mexico was not the hard part.
Yeah.
It's the teens.
Hello, beautiful couple.
That and this one right here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't he cute?
So we had
Wait,
two
is that the
teens
same
and-
dog that I met in Cancun?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's him.
that's
That's
Lucky.
Lucky. Say
He
hi.
looks
Lucky.
different.
He had his
He looks
haircut.
different.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He got his
Okay.
haircut.
He wore his little bow tie too. He's got his bow tie on too.
All right. I like that.
He's representing.
Yeah.
He is representing. Don is, looking forward to seeing you with the Yarbros. Yes. 2 weeks from now, the Yarbros will be on. So you guys will have to tune in.
Definitely.
The Yarbros, yes, they're a great couple.
We are having some fantastic guests.
We do have fantastic guests.
I mean, and the thing about it is the people you meet out here, like you guys, and you become friends overnight. And it's like, because I mean, you have so much in common.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just been great. It's been a great journey.
Where were these great folks when we lived in the States?
I know. And that was one of the best parts about the Exodus Summit too, because I was like, oh my gosh, I found my tribe. There are people who get it. Everybody gets it. Oh my gosh. And so it was just so wonderful. And to see your name pop up, I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, we were probably internet friends way before Cancun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Long as you have community, right?
Yeah.
So if you're watching from Facebook, hey, if you're watching from LinkedIn, hello. You might have to get permissions to totally communicate with the chat, or you can come on over to YouTube and chat live with us. We had to put some special permissions in place because we had trolls and everything like that. And so
you always got them.
You know,
you always have them.
Haters
always got haters.
That's right.
Haters gonna hate.
Routine life and a random vacation now and again. That's America.
That's
Yeah.
what.
That's
Yeah.
America. And it's funny because we were talking to the landlord and saying, we've got family that I'm sure are want to come and visit, but they only get 2 weeks. It's not
Right.
like in
If that.
If that,
right,
yeah,
if
yeah.
that.
If that, because I remember there were times and Lamar had tons of PTO saved, tons, like weeks and weeks, but trying to actually use your PTO
Right.
was like pulling teeth.
Pulling teeth. And then they didn't want to pay me when I left. I said, now why would I negotiate for extra time off working in politics and I know it's going to be hard to take it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is, yes, the rumblings of what America is and was always there.
Always there.
Then for me, it also really began to hit home with just the number of mass shootings.
I couldn't take
And
it.
you can't go to church. You can't go to school.
Can't go to the
You can't go to
supermarket.
supermarket. You can't, I mean, goodness gracious. And I think for me, it really hit home in March of 2021.
Mhm.
I was finishing my dissertation and actually I had I needed a root canal. I needed two root canals, and I'd gone to my dentist and they were trying to charge me $10,000 for these root canals. And I was like, $10,000?
Do I get a card with that?
Just happened to do the Googles, and notice that you can I was seeing all these sites talking about, you can go to Mexico and get it done cheaper. And so I kind of was like, wonder if I could combine a little bit of a writing dissertation vacation and get my tooth done. And that's exactly what wound up doing. But let me tell you, they were so fantastic. They picked me up at the airport, took me to my hotel, made all the arrangements, picked me up from my hotel, brought me to the office for my visit. Turned out I didn't need two. I only needed one and a crown. And all of that did such like an artistic type of job in terms of the matching of my teeth. It was absolutely gorgeous. So for my 10-day stay, because I kind of extended it a little while. Airfare, 10-day stay, food, my hotel stay, and my tooth, all was like $2,500. Mm-hmm. I was like,
you hear that, folks?
$2,500. And
you hear that?
The place was top notch, first class kind of accommodations in terms of going into the office, the state of the art equipment. I was like, we're doing it wrong. And I remember sitting there calling back home saying, we are doing this wrong, because we were struggling with trying to just get basic healthcare in terms of, just getting basic stuff covered. And you're paying exorbitant amount of prices for healthcare, and then you go to use it,
and it's crazy. And then there's bills coming in from everywhere: the doctor, the facility, the labs, the this, the that, and it's just like, okay. Hey, Professor, good to see you.
Hey.
yes, good to see you.
Yeah, it was crazy, just crazy. So that started, and then also it was on that trip that I also remember being in Cancun. That's where I went to get my teeth done, in Cancun, and I just happened to be crossing the street because my hotel was actually in walking distance. They didn't have to come pick me up, so I just told them, no, don't come pick me up. I'll walk. So I remember walking down the street. I had a hat on, a nice summer, my nice little breezy hat. I'm feeling all cute, and the wind blew my hat across off my head and across the street. And as I ran out into the street, now there wasn't any cars in the street at the time, but I ran out into the street. But there was some armed guards. The Cancun has a lot of police presence, and they look very, with the military guns and all that kind of stuff, and all strapped up. And I remember when my hat blew into the street, and I ran out there and I saw the police, I froze like I would at home. Freeze when you see the police. And he jumped down from his Jeep, ran, got my hat. He was so friendly and just like, oh, hey, you okay? Do you need to find anything? And I just was like, wow, that's the first time that I really connected this sense of, I don't feel safe at home, but I feel safe here. And that was kind of like moment
and
for
it's
me.
interesting. The police here do carry, semi-automatic
They're strapped.
rifles. They are strapped. They are loaded down.
Yeah.
But they don't seem menacing.
Mm-mm.
They don't come off as menacing.
They're not staring you down.
Right. When we were driving just recently and a police car came and pulled behind us, I didn't have that feeling of, okay, wait, let me check my speed.
Yeah. 10 and 2, 10 and 2, 10 and 2.
Okay, let's see. Right.
Is my seatbelt on?
Yeah, I got my seatbelt on. Let me check my speed. I didn't have any of that. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, there's the police. And just kind of, and he went on about his business. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We really are not.
I think we
safe.
have PTSD and don't even know it.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That is so true.
So tell us about, you guys were in a huge house in Florida. No,
Maryland.
DC in Maryland.
Maryland.
I don't know why I had you in Florida. In Maryland. And you had to pack up and get rid of all of that stuff. So for the folks out there, out there who still are trying to figure out what are they going to do with their stuff?
Lord Jesus.
Put it in perspective. This was a 5,000 square foot house.
Yes. Yeah.
So, every bedroom had furniture, living room, dining room, sunroom.
Because it wasn't even a situation of keeping up with the Joneses type things, because that wasn't our thing. But we did have a large house because we had a large family. Plus, the house contained space for my home business, which is in embroidery. We have an embroidery business.
Yeah.
And also my husband, can work from home, but he also has a remote control car hobby enthusiast. Right. So he builds and races remote control cars. So we needed that kind of space for those types of endeavors.
For your fun stuff.
Yes. So when we looked at and initially talked about, the whole possibility of moving abroad, there's always those camps of people who like chuck it all, just pack 2 suitcases and a backpack, and that is not my ministry.
No.
Not a minimalist.
I don't think I could ever get it down to 2 suitcases and a bag. I think mostly because just at the stage of life that we're in, I don't feel like starting over.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, there are mementos and things that you have that are treasured, dear heirlooms and things of that nature that I just was not willing to part with.
Sure. And at this stage of my life, I've been working for 40 years. So I found a hobby I enjoy. I love motorsports and I want to have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy life. Some people, knit, some people crochet, some people build boats and put them in bottles, whatever is your thing. I want to be able to do that. And then, hang out with the fellas after the races and, talk all the mess about the race and, tell you big fish stories or whatever. and enjoy life.
And I think that was also too what we were talking about, because, we are of a particular age.
Yeah.
And so we are getting to the point where we're really looking at retirement, and we had to ask ourselves, what do we want that life to look like? I'm retired. Imagine I'm retired. What does my getting up in the morning look like? What does that feel like? Yeah. And so for my husband and for me as well, we have hobbies and things that we have curated and collected things for, decades.
Yeah.
That to try to replace those from scratch would be hella expensive.
Yeah.
And take
some of them are one of a kind tools for my hobby that I wouldn't be able to find again.
Right.
So it made sense to be able to just bring those things, not a whole bunch of furniture and things like that.
Right.
To have some happiness and comfort, and bring it to Mexico.
Yeah. So I would say out of the 100% of the stuff that we took, we only brought about 20.
Yeah.
The rest we did in an estate sale. We got rid of the rest and and then the rest of the rest, because the estate sale didn't sell everything. The rest, we just gave the rest away. Just was like,
yeah.
So 5,000 square feet. y'all kept 20% of your stuff.
Right.
Yes, we did.
How long did it take you to get to the point where, okay, we're ready to leave?
Now, I think we actually began in January because that was the hard thing. And we've moved before. I mean, I'm a minister. I've had churches that have moved us from southern or from the DC area all the way up to the border of Maryland, near Pennsylvania, and have packed us up perfectly wonderful and done all of that. This move felt different because
we had to
it was the segregation of the stuff that we were putting for the estate sale, and then the stuff that we were keeping, and then the stuff that needed to be given away for donations, and the stuff that was, it was like all these different pots that we were working out of at the same as you're using and still living in the home. It was just, it was crazy. It was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. So, and we had to select a shipping company to get a shipping container.
And all of that was new. Finding a shipping container, dealing with customs, the menaje de casa process, the whole, all of it was just like, what do you do? Where? And so, and that's kind of where, how our YouTube channel got born, because we really just wanted to document that whole process, not only to just recover the memories of the whole thing, but to also just kind of, so if anybody else wants to know what had happened, follow along and see what the journey was. And there were times in we still have so many videos to still put up because we're still editing all of that footage of documenting all of it. And we captured the ugly, and I mean the ugly, the ugly part of the whole process. The part of your house is looking a hot mess, and all of that. It wasn't pretty, but we got it done from January to June. We got it done.
The estate sale part, Angela wasn't partially because she had to take the dogs for their wellness checks, so she had to go, and so. The day of pickup.
That feels like shade. You were shade.
The day of pickup. No, I'm just telling. If you do it, just be ready for the onslaught.
Oh my God!
Because the people started coming in. Their scheduled time.
The company that we went with was more so of an online company that listed everything, and then people bought through on the online process, and then they had a day to come pick up.
But they were
pickup day.
Right.
Woo!
People didn't adhere to their scheduled pickup times. And then all of a sudden, when she left, everybody came. We had 15, 20 people trying to come into the house. And I had to track all the things that they were picking up because people had bought things. I didn't want them taking stuff that
wasn't there. Right.
You got a table, you got a chair, you got a this.
So because it was all prepaid.
Right. So I'm running up and down the steps. Ben was there helping. Our son was helping, running up and down the steps, back and forth, opening up the back door, the garage, the front door. So that was an adventure that I don't want to relive.
That's a word. Adventure.
That I don't want to relive ever again.
Don't want to do that again.
No.
Don't want to do that again.
Because you need, for something like that, you need at least 4 people. To actually have this, because you have the sheet of what people purchase and checking things off. So you need somebody orchestrating it from outside and then directing people to the items in the house. There were things that need to be taken apart and disassembled.
It was a lot. And then not to mention on top of that, during that whole January to June process, our son broke his leg, needed to have a titanium rod put in his leg. Our daughter got sick. I mean, it just was, all hell broke loose. The moment we said, we're moving to Mexico. It was like we were channeling some sort of, chaos that just, it was crazy.
So we eventually got everything taken care of. The moving company came. We had a couple of revisits to them to take a few things that got left, some mementos.
Our moving company was great.
Yeah, they came in. The thing about it, we told you guys, but they were like ninjas. They came in there and just had stuff wrapped up, going out the door, things I wanted to use real quick.
Because we thought we were ready. But
right.
We, of course, you're never really ready.
Because there's always more stuff.
Always
more stuff.
Like,
yeah, there is.
Now, these are the people. Now, mind you, this was the day before the auction.
People came.
Folks were coming to get their stuff. So the ideal process would have been for the moving company to come get the stuff we were shipping to Mexico, and then the things that were left were the persons who were coming to buy everything up from the estate sale. But of course, we're like, when they show up, and most of everything was already packed, but those guys came in there,
boom. They wrapped
like
stuff.
Ninjas on ice skates.
And a lot of the things were unrecognizable because they had wrapped them up so securely. I mean, even shipping totes that we had packed, they wrapped them in plastic.
They double wrapped it.
I
mean, they were fantastic. They were really great.
They were good.
And the wonderful part is they filled out our Menaje de Casa. The Menaje de Casa, if you are, for those of you who don't know, if you're moving to Mexico on a temporary residency, or even I believe even a permanent residency can do this as well. You are allowed to bring a shipment of household goods into the country between 6 months of the time that you're coming into the country, but it's a one-time, one-shot deal, that you can bring everything in duty free without any problems. So that was the process that we were like, that's what we wanted. That's what we want to do. So we were making sure, and in that Menaje de Casa process, you still have to have like this itemized, detailed list of everything that is in there. And I've heard horror stories about people who, packed the things in their shipping container and, oh, here's a broom, throw that broom in there too. And they're getting there with their list and they're like, I don't see a broom, and being held up in customs over a broom. You know what I mean? So we wanted to make sure that packing list was correct, but our company handled that. And that was like,
so did you hire a company that had done it before that specialized in this?
Yes.
Okay. So do you still have that information?
Yes, I do. They were called International Movers Network.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've got their website or something, send it to me. And then, Guy, if you're watching from the future, hey, hit subscribe and like. I will put it in the description after the fact. Okay. So we don't have it now, but we'll put it in there because good help is hard to find. I think you have a dog sitter.
All right. See, Lucky is shout out.
if you want to go on Trusted House Sitters, hey, one of my moms is watching.
Hey, Janice.
Hey, Janice. Good to see you.
Julie is from New York.
Yep.
Okay.
Felice Goddess Mika. I think it's Mika. New name. Hi, just found this channel and subscribed. Thank you. Excited to meet you all through your channel. Hey, good to meet you. It looks like we've got a question. Oh, it's not a serious question.
He is a Silkzer. He is a half silky terrier,
half miniature German Schnauzer.
Half miniature Schnauzer.
Okay.
So he's 17 years old.
He's pretty spunky for 17. I met him in person.
Yes,
and he was being very territorial when I walked in to the apartment. And he's like, I don't know you. You may have the same color skin, but I don't know you.
I'm watching you.
I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
We've had him since he was 2 months old.
Oh,
he's Lucky. His name is Lucky. So
and he's family.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he is. So, and that was another reason why we decided to drive ultimately, because the process of having to put Lucky on a plane and then however long that flight was going to be, we were like, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle such a flight. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing, we also decided to drive because we wanted to be able to have our car here in Mexico. And if you are entering Mexico on a temporary residency, you are allowed to drive a foreign plated vehicle in Mexico that the registration is tied to your residency. And so however long you're a temporary resident is however long you're able to still be able to legally drive the car in Mexico.
So
Now, we knew
right.
that we were going to eventually, when we got here, buy another car. But, in the meantime and in between time,
Right.
a family of 4 with 2 dogs standing waiting out in the rain for an Uber.
Nah, that
It
wasn't
wasn't
it.
That's not a good look.
It wasn't enough.
Todd, going back to losing hope on the American dream and all of that, and I want you, because Auntie Trey, you're so sweet, and Rick has been taking his blood pressure.
Oh my God, my blood pressure has been perfect.
Nice.
Since I have left the United States, 125. It hasn't gotten over 125.
Wow.
Right?
Nice.
So how do y'all feel?
I feel
great. Yeah.
I feel great.
Yeah, I feel great.
Good.
The only thing that was outstanding for me was, getting the house. And so, that whole search for
finding a place to live.
That was the only thing. Other than that, I actually feel good about being here in Mexico. The people are friendly. They're very nice. Always speaking, always gracious.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the family that we met today,
our new landlords,
Okay.
they actually want to be our friends. So and their daughters live here in Querétaro. So so they actually are going to be looking out for us and making sure we have everything we need.
Just the number of friends that we've made just being here has just been and who are genuinely interested in helping you, being helpful, just all kinds of stuff. Isn't
it amazing?
It blows my mind every time. And I don't know if I'm feeling like the cynical American or something, but
but it's natural. It's natural because it doesn't work that way at home. It does not work that way. And we have to say, we haven't ventured out a lot in Mexico here because we're not planning to stay here. And this was supposed to be to get our permanent residency, which we got. And then we're doing we've been working every day towards the Portuguese visa. But when we were in Portugal, which we know is going to be our at least temporary forever home, I'm saying nothing's forever necessarily, but it feels like it's going to be our forever home. We have people that we consider friends, people who, when they found out that our contract with the other apartment went by the wayside, started helping.
Wow.
And there's just nothing that can be said about that. I truly.
There's a whole community here in Querétaro of Black expats. And so that has been wonderful, starting to get to know all of the folks and stuff like that. It's been, I'm in love.
Well, when we come back to this side of the world, Querétaro is where Rick wants to go.
Yay!
So if we come back, we'll tell our family, meet us in Querétaro, because that's what we're going to be, hanging out with Lamar and Angela.
Yes.
So I want to hear, we've got some questions, but before we get to the questions, I want to hear about this drive from Washington, D.C. with the dog, the stuff.
Oh, the van was
and
loaded.
The van was loaded. I know,
right?
And 2 teenagers who are not little
and
people,
17-year-old,
and they're not little.
And and that's a very interesting point, because we originally had talked about moving after they went to high school, or after they graduated from high school. So our youngest graduates in 2024. So we were like, okay, well, we'll just have to wait until they go off to college, and then we can do our own thing. But last year, just starting with the pandemic,
and for me, and I'm sure that Rick will probably identify with this. I ended up going out, and I'm not a firearm person, but I got a
little something, just in case fools want to pop off and these.
Right. And then I started watching all the shootings and the Karens out there that started, and the Kens, and
then the insurrection,
and it was just,
and we were like,
I'm tired of this. And then my problem is with this is that people with their privilege, white folk, don't think they should be held accountable.
Yeah.
And they think that they should be able to do these things and get away with it.
So
and
it began to be,
it's
start
just,
to press on us in terms of,
I
do I really want to leave my babies here?
Right. I don't
You
want
know,
them here.
and then it also began to, we started to really start to think, this is the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to live abroad and have that
Yes.
cultural experience.
Right.
Yes.
This is something that they may never get to do, or, you know, this
Right.
is something that we wanted to definitely expose them to.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
we just got to the place where we were like, why wait? I think you said it. Why are we waiting?
Yeah.
Let's
And
go.
sometimes, you know, I remember when I was in high school and I was a cheerleader and this and that, and everyone took a trip to Europe, and my mom said, "Do you want to go?" And this fool said, "No, I have cheerleading camp."
Oh, wow. Wow.
She should have said, "No, you're going
Right.
because you need to go."
Right.
Right. And sometimes parents just have to say, yeah, I understand you got your friends and this is your senior year or junior, whatever. But what I am telling you is what's best for you, even though you don't realize it right now because I'm grown.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know.
And I think that was the way we had to approach it with our son, because he going into his high school year. It's like, listen, you don't get it. I understand. Okay. But
Yeah.
And
but
high school is this much of your life.
okay.
yeah.
And
I don't
Yeah.
even remember those folks.
you ain't gonna
No.
remember them folks.
They
You
had-
are not gonna remember them.
Except for the ones I'm still friends with.
No.
Love you.
They asked me if I was still friends with people from high school. And mind you, I graduated from high school in 1980. I would not be friends with these people if it wasn't for social media, because I wasn't keeping in touch with these folk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a part of, if you remember the movie, Remember the Titans? I was a part of that era of 1972 when schools were segregated and we segregated them, and all the riots and the white folk coming out with torches and screaming and picketing. When we had armed guards walking us into Fox Hill Elementary School in Bowie, Maryland, and I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Going, you know, and this was half of fifth grade. You know, they stopped school to get all the logistics squared away at Christmas, and we didn't go back to school until at the end of January. And I was riding a bus from the time of middle of fifth grade until I graduated high school.
Yeah.
So it really seared into me what the country was about then, and now to see where it is now, it's still
Ain't nothing changed.
no.
Yeah. And that's the sad part.
Nothing has changed. We're not going to talk politics, but I'm going to say this
No.
one thing. I'm going to say this one thing, because people think we have progressed and we haven't. So they did a survey, and I think we were talking about this. They did a survey in the 60s and asked white folks, how many of you would vote for a black man, probably man, for president? 40% of the white folks said, sure, I would. 40% of white folks voted for Obama.
Right.
50 years later, right? Ain't nothing changed.
Has nothing changed. It really hasn't. And even with the inception of the Poor People's Campaign in 1968 by Dr. King, the very things that he was fighting for in the Poor People's
We're
Campaign,
still fighting for that.
we're
We're
the
still-
same thing, literally the
Nothing's
same thing.
We are
50 years
still
later,
fighting
we
for.
are still
Yeah.
fighting for that. And I thought, do I really want to spend the rest of my good years fighting for this, or do I want to use this freedom that my
That's right.
ancestors bought,
Fought.
enslaved, and fought
Died.
for? Do I really want to exercise my freedom and go someplace else?
Right.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yes, yes, and yes. Heard of you guys through the Yarbros. Yay. Thank you, April and Rondell.
Hey.
So we've got a question. Angela and Lamar, did you become debt-free before you moved to Mexico? I'm working on my debt-free journey. Good for you, Julie. Good for
Yes,
you.
That's right.
We kind of are. This is what we basically are. We are debt free.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of some student loan left over from my master's degree, but other than that, we had really worked hard to get rid of and keep it cash and carry, baby. Keep it cash and carry. Now, mind you, also, as the pandemic started, just kind of quickly how fate works and how God aligns everything in order so that things work out in our favor. We were attempting to buy a house and had saved, and you know how much 20% of a down payment in a
Right.
house in DC
Right.
that's a
And
lot of
it
money.
was that 5,000 square foot house.
Yes. We were attempting to purchase that house, and for a whole bunch of other reasons, where we're not going to get into here because I have PTSD.
PTSD.
But we weren't able. But we had the money,
Right.
so it was like, okay, so what do we do with this? We just sit on this and just kept stacking chips and keeping it cash and carry.
Right.
So being able to come here, we were initially sitting and looking at, well, can we do this? And really, when we crunched the numbers, it was like, oh, wow, wait a minute.
We got
Yeah.
Lamar is in IT. He's a system administrator. I have an IT background as well. And sister can get a job or keeps the job. But we thought, all right, well, if we take our remote work from a DC salary kind of mindset, or just an American dollar
Right.
type of mindset, and be able to bring it here with no debt and really watch our budget, like, okay, wait a minute. We started crunching the numbers. And that's when I had the nerve to approach this guy and go, I'm looking at the numbers and the math is mathing.
Right?
Okay, wait a minute. We could actually live very nicely.
Yeah, we can live nicely, but the big thing for me is, I'll say it again, it was a have to, and I got tired of. I fell out of love with the United States. I really did, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was sickened by how things had gone, hadn't changed. Make sure I watch my language. Things hadn't changed; they just became upfront. So it became very difficult for me to really handle
stomach
it.
it
Yeah.
anymore.
So when we started looking at our just like our expenses and things of that nature, just trying to make sure that it was, that we weren't
Feasible.
spending outside of our norm or
Right.
things of that nature, we just really started to buckle down
Yeah.
and keep it real close to the vest in terms
Yeah.
of what we were buying, what we were spending.
Yeah.
Our
Right.
van is a 2009.
Right.
It's been
See?
paid off
So
for 4 years.
shout out to Honda,
Yeah.
because it
It's still
really
going. Yeah.
handled the load.
Mhm.
We were really
The
too
load
handled
and
by-
the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rick and I, Julie, you might know or might not know. They're having internet issues. I thought that might be the case. So you may or may not know, but we paid off our debt as well before we started this journey. And as late as the stimulus checks that were coming in, were paying off the last bit of, actually the first one paid off the last bit of our debt.
Right.
And then as far as my student loan, some of you may have heard this before, but because our income is so low now, my public student loan payment
Yeah. You're filing income.
is zero. So don't let a public student loan necessarily keep you from your move abroad dreams. And then we've totally lost them, but they'll be back. And then the other thing is that I wanted to say is that we do have Ready to Retire Toolkit. So any of you who are trying to figure out how you are going to do this thing, the Ready to Retire Toolkit is not just for folks who are ready to retire. It's also to help you get your money straight and start looking at things a different way. Because y'all know, we were about, if the payment fits, I get, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we just, as long as the credit card bills were paid and our credit score stayed high, we didn't take into account, or it didn't even dawn on us that you could have no debt, consumer debt or credit card debt. To me, it seemed like it was only rich people who did that.
Yeah. We never I mean, you didn't look at it that way. We looked at things totally different, and that's what we're trying to do. And I believe that's what people like Irish Journey and other people out there that are trying to share their story and share how to do things is to change the mindset, because that's the very first thing that has to change.
Yeah.
And when you look at it in a totally different way of how you're spending your money, how you're saving your money, how you're investing your money, because you can't, hey, they're back. You can't
There
get
we
there
go.
by saving.
No.
Your money.
There we go.
Yep, you're
Hey,
good.
welcome back.
There we go.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know what's
cannot
going
get
on.
there by just saving alone. You have to invest. You have to invest. We were savings, and it just, I looked at our savings account, and at 0.0001% interest,
Yeah,
it just wasn't growing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, it got to the point where, well, actually, he found Our Rich Journey,
Ah, nice.
just looking for a place to retire or move
Right.
to. He found Our Rich Journey, and that's where we heard about FIRE,
Right.
financial independence, retire
Retire early.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't looking at retiring early.
No,
Right.
well, it was already too late.
Yeah,
for
it
that.
was too late for me to try to retire early. But the thing is I wanted to go to a place to where whatever my dollars that I had, that I was either bringing in or side hustles or whatever, that I could make stretch
Right.
in different
Same here.
places.
Yeah.
I
Same
mean, come
here.
on. You don't have to. We're not saying, oh, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move, you got to get out of the United States. If that's your thing, if that's what you want to do, that's what you choose to do. There's a lot of places you can go to with that American dollar that will stretch a whole lot longer, and you'll get a lot more value out of it.
Yeah,
So, and that's what
definitely.
we were trying to share with people. But you got to change the mind. You got to have a totally different mindset.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And you can do it within the United States. Like if you live in New York, then moving to, down south,
Yeah.
Or someplace else.
Yeah,
That's gonna
if
be
you're used to
cheaper.
making a certain amount of money in a bigger market, I'll say, I don't want to pick any city, and then you move down south to a smaller market where the housing is cheaper,
Mhm.
and you can tolerate the politics or wherever you're choosing to move,
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, that
You
could
can
work for you
tolerate the
too.
politics. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Know the
Right.
politics on where you're going, and know if you
Right.
can tolerate it.
Right.
Right, because
Right.
you don't want to get out of the frying pan into the fire. So Rosalind, I don't know if it's Rosalind. It's probably Rosalind, not Rosalind. Rosalind, thanks so much for sharing your journey. Absolutely. I'm so encouraged by your courage to try something different, right? How are you all approaching learning a new language?
Okay.
You want me to answer that?
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, my wife has been a big part of it because she's taken the time to take the lessons and learn it. But I know now that I have to.
Yeah.
It's a must. It's a must because I can't go around and not understand what people are saying in Portuguese or Spanish or anything else. So it's something that it's a mindset, and you
Yeah.
have to change your mind.
Sure. You have to change your mind.
He's talking to himself.
Yeah, I am. As I'm talking to others, I am talking to myself. That works for me. That's how I kind of get it in my mind and move forward. So yeah, and I know that, and I can't expect everybody to just speak English because I don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I need to learn their language.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes life easier when you know it.
Lamar?
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm not resistant to learning. I've always wanted to learn Spanish. It's just that with everything that was going on with the move, packing, and all that, even though Angela stuck with Duolingo and kept her streak going, my concentration wasn't there. And so now that we're here,
I kept telling him and the kids, okay, y'all
Look,
not
now
practicing.
right, now that we're here and I start up again, now that I will be swimming in these Spanish speaking waters, I believe that as I move through Duolingo, it'll help being immersed in this land here, so that it'll bring it about quicker. I believe, but I definitely would like and want to speak Spanish couple of different reasons: to be able to speak to people and understand what's going on. But the other thing is to be respectful. I mean, this is
Yes.
Right.
Mexico.
Right.
So,
Right.
Right.
I'm not going to force them to speak English because that's a privileged thing that some do in other parts of Mexico that we visited recently that are more expensive. I mean,
That are more
yeah,
populated with
right.
others.
Because we saw the Golden Girls at dinner one night.
Stop it.
So, it was
I don't know why you keep talking.
so and I want to be respectful of their culture, their language, and all those things, but moreover just to be able to communicate in their language.
Yes.
I'm finding
Yes.
that being immersed in the language is helping propel me a little faster than before. Now, I had a background in French. So the French to Spanish transition hasn't been too bad because there's a lot of words that are in Spanish that are similar in French. So I was
Yes.
able to look and okay, and I've had like 6 years of French. So that didn't feel so bad for me. As a matter of fact, when we first got here, or just even before, when I would try to, someone would say something and and the first thing that fell out of my mouth was French.
French.
And I was like, okay, no, wrong word. What's the word? That kind of thing. But I'm finding as we've been here now, we've been here a month, it's getting easier, or at least
Yeah.
feels like it's getting easier, right? We're able to get around and it's going to be, you're going to have to adjust your expectations for that
Yeah.
clunky, kludgy kind of phase where you don't understand and what and slow down. Can you say that slower? What that kind of thing. You're just going to have to go through that.
Yes.
But I keep being told from all of the other Spanish speaking persons that are
Someone
here.
told us today.
So sure enough told us today, oh, you'll be fluent in a year. You're going to be fluent. Like, wow, really?
I mean, and you or you could, or you not, because if you only hung out with expats speaking English,
Right.
right? So you have to
Correct.
be purposeful about it.
Correct. And Querétaro is definitely one of those places where you need to, that they speak Spanish here. It's not like you can go up to San Miguel de Allende,
Right.
which is about 45 minutes to an hour away from here.
Sure.
Beautiful, beautiful, picturesque town. Beautiful.
Yes.
But
Yes.
as we were walking through the streets and looking around, you can very much find a whole bunch of signs in English,
In English.
menus in English.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I see you guys catering to us, but
Right.
I really want to learn the language. And in Querétaro, that's not how they roll here.
Right.
You
Yes.
find some people who speak English, very few,
Right.
but most of the people do not. And so you're going to have to learn how to speak Spanish. That's
And
just
that the neighborhood that we got our apartment in Portugal, it's a very, as I saw online, a very traditionally Portuguese neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I started taking Spanish during the pandemic because I had all this extra time not having to commute.
right.
And I did it not because I knew we were going to move abroad, because this was a dream I never thought would come true. I
Right.
was doing it for career purposes.
Ah.
And so I take lessons from a Black Venezuelan lady. Hi, Laura.
I love
If you're watching. And she lives in Colombia sometimes, Venezuela sometimes. And I found her on a platform called Preply, or it looks like Pre-Ply, but it's pronounced Preply. And there's a link in the description and a 70% discount for anybody. They have native speakers from all over the planet. No matter what you want to learn, it's like the Uber of languages. And she and I get together, on via Zoom. And, it's part grammar and then part conversation. And now we're friends and we ask about each other's lives, because it's been 2 years now that I've been taking Spanish from her.
Wow.
And no, I do not speak Spanish, but I can communicate what I need to
Right.
most of the time and understand within context.
Right. Right. Same here. I'm able to pick up, and just the other day we were in a store, and I was able to follow most of the conversation of what the salesperson was saying, and then even translate to him what was saying. So
Right.
I was like, okay, okay, I get that. Okay.
And a lot of things is helpful too. And you always say to me, it's the context of thing, it's what context it's in. So that helps me out a little bit. So I know kind of what they're talking about, even though I don't
Right.
understand all the words coming out of their mouth.
I don't understand all the words.
But
Yeah, me
it's
too.
like, okay, but I know what it's about. The most important word she taught me, I believe, was baño.
Oh,
Oh,
baño.
baño.
Yeah, you
No.
better
Baño.
learn how to say baño
Or
because
lo
our
siento.
baño.
Lo
Lo
siento.
siento. Pero,
Lo siento.
you know,
Sorry.
and I'm used to saying disculpe,
Disculpe.
but
Yes.
they say perdón here.
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Or
you know,
our favorite, la cuenta, por favor. Bring the check.
because they will not. So Auntie Trey asked, why do they carry semi-automatic weapons? And I'm just going to say, in Italy, we saw the same thing.
Yeah, Europe.
In
throughout
Spain,
Europe.
we saw the same thing. Not in England, but in Portugal, we see the same thing.
And I know in Mexico, and particularly in tourist areas, Mexico knows where their dollar comes from. They know where the business
yeah.
comes from in terms of tourist areas. And I know they are not trying to have that nonsense.
Right.
You know, we saw a heavy presence of persons with semi-automatic weapons in Cancun. Cancun is a huge tourist area. That's nothing but money. And Mexico is like, they're not about to have you mess up their coin.
So
Right.
when I purchased what I purchased in the United States, I found out that I could not bring it to Mexico. And here's why, Auntie Trey. Mexico has very stiff firearm regulations and laws.
Right.
If you get caught with one, and I say one, live piece of ammunition, I don't care if it's a 22 or whatever.
Just a bullet?
Just a bullet. You will go to jail. There's only one firearm store in the whole country.
Yeah.
And that's in Mexico City.
Mhm.
And it takes an act of God for you to get a firearm. No, the paperwork is immense.
Yeah, it was.
And if you qualify, you can only keep a certain calibers, and you're only allowed to keep it in your home. You're not to carry it out of your home. Only business owners who put in the correct paperwork and qualify to have that kind of protection in their place of business can have that firearm with them. This is why you don't see the mass shootings here. This is why you don't see all of that. So I don't have an answer for why they carry semi-automatic weapons, but I can tell you this: you're not going to find someone out here in the street with a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
The little boy ain't walking into the high school with a semi-automatic.
right.
No.
And I think a lot of too that you see with the semi-automatics are like the guard.
Yes.
Yes.
The National Guard type,
Yes.
because they have not fatigue uniforms, but you know the different type of uniforms. I can't remember the name for it right now.
And they're on Jeeps and
They're
things
on
like
Jeeps,
that.
they're on trucks,
Right.
they're protecting, or they're around in different places, but you know it's not like you feel intimidated.
Well,
or
at first
anything
we
like
did.
that
The
for it.
first time we saw it in
Well,
Italy.
every time you see an automatic, well, because dude yelled at me. Well, yeah, Italy was kind of weird. Not in a bad way, because
Right.
I was crossing the street and didn't realize where I was heading to.
Oh.
And there was a function, and it looked like it was
Like
a
an
political
embassy.
embassy type
Ah.
big time function. So there was a whole lot of highbrow people, I guess. And I was just trying to get across the street.
Doing one of these.
Yeah, looking and filming and stuff, and they yelled at me, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Right.
And I eased my back.
You know,
back
here in
across that.
Mexico, it's interesting because they are still very much a cash carrying
Right.
country. So
Yeah.
you can use your card, but they still very much carry cash. So when
Yes.
we were getting ready to pay our first month's rent, we had to come with a stack of cash. So we had to go to the ATM machine to
Talking
pull
about
out
a
money.
fist full of dollars.
Us a wad.
Wow.
A mad grip.
And-
So when I was coming away from the ATM, and just happened to be an ATM that was in a grocery store. as a
Mhm.
matter of fact. But there was an armed guard there.
Right.
I actually was grateful because I was feeling some kind
Well,
of
we
way
saw that at the mall
about
too,
having to carry all this cash.
Cash, right?
between the Santander and the Scotiabank.
Yes,
There was an armed guard there.
I was like, yes, thank you, armed guard. Watch me as I walk to my car. Thank you, please, and thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I kind of felt little helpful.
And
Almost asked them, can you
right?
ride with me home? And
right?
Okay.
And the same is true here. In Puerto Vallarta, they have special police that say police turista
Yes.
Yes.
in this area, and not as much armed guards though in Puerto Vallarta as we've seen in Quintana Roo, in
Yes.
Cancun, and probably Playa and stuff.
Yes.
But there's definitely a presence.
That's
So
true.
Francis,
We don't see as many.
Right.
We didn't see as many armed. We don't see as many armed guards here in Querétaro. You see them around the banks, around the government buildings and things like that, but not
Yeah.
really like out on the street like you do in some of the more
Quintana Roo.
touristy areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what's the best way to get to Querétaro from CDMX, from Mexico City?
Mexico City.
So what I'm hearing now, there is a bus that runs straight from Mexico City to Querétaro to the airport or to the bus terminal that's not far
Right.
in Querétaro. So that's apparently a very nice plush
Oh,
bus
it's a plush bus for sure.
that you can ride for less than $175 or so, which I'm like, wow.
And how long is it?
It's about a 3-hour ride
Oh,
from
okay.
here to Mexico City.
Right.
Okay,
So,
that's not bad. That's
yeah.
not bad. And we're not talking Greyhound. So for those of you who don't
Right.
know about the bus
And we're not talking
systems,
magic school bus either.
yeah, the bus system in Mexico, or what we would consider a charter
Charter
bus,
bus.
right?
Charter bus, yeah.
They're first class. They're like the speed trains and all of that of Europe. Because
Nice
we were
plush
looking,
seats,
yes, we were
internet,
looking, right?
Yeah.
sometimes
Plug in,
yeah.
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So, and much less expensive than flying and having stuff stolen from your luggage. Hey, Margaret, glad you made it.
Bitter.
Yeah. Yeah. And driving from here to Mexico is not a bad drive from what I'm hearing. It's not
To Mexico City.
to Mexico City. So yeah. So it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're still watching
I
Residency.
know Rossini.
Y'all, this man, and I will give you information later. So last Sunday, we found out that the people who we got our contract from did not have their house properly registered with the government as a rental, which is a must for the visa.
Yeah.
This man, we started talking to him on Wednesday. By Friday, we had an apartment for less than we thought in the historic part of Lisbon.
Nice.
This is what
Nice.
happens when you have friends.
That's right.
You go, you make real friends, and we love you.
Yeah, indeed. Shout out to Rose.
Yeah. So
All right.
Seriously.
you're talking about good people. Our agent, Alejandra, what's her
Yeah.
last name?
Albert Bullen.
Yes, she's with House Hunters Querétaro. She's fantastic.
She's been fantastic.
Fantastic.
Our immigration
got
company,
Mario.
Mario, has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, tell you how great he was. We did now when you apply for temporary residency for Mexico, the first half of it's done in the States.
Yes.
So you'll be in the States or wherever your home country is.
Right.
Be doing that paperwork in the States.
Same
Then
for permanent.
Exactly. So you've got from the time that you apply and receive your temporary
visa.
permanency, temporary residency visa sticker in your passport. You have 6 months to hightail your butt down to Mexico and present yourself at an embassy. Now, once you cross over the border, either by land or by air or what have you, they give you 30 days.
You got 30 days.
You got 30 days that you have to get
I
here.
know this from you, but make sure that you don't make the mistake of going in the wrong line.
True.
Right.
You want to stamp it with
So if you're flying
tourist.
in with your temporary residency sticker in your passport, make sure you're going through the residence line and not the tourist line, because that will nullify everything and start you all over from scratch.
Right.
But when we came here to Querétaro and we, presented ourselves like we're here and all that kind of stuff, and our immigration guy was helping us to get to do that paperwork, because you could do it yourself.
But
yeah, if you can avoid that
through that pain. Listen, I tried it, and I said, I called him and was like, we're hiring somebody for this, because normally I'm that girl who would actually, look and fill out the form and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, no, there's just some things that
not about that life anymore.
Doing. But Mario's crew was so fantastic in terms of handling everything, scheduling the appointments, making sure we got everything done, the pictures, the forms, and everything signed. So much so that when we had our appointment to go to get our actual immigration card, the actual official card, it was a humongous storm here in Querétaro.
Unlike we had seen,
and apparently this doesn't happen often.
Right, because it's kind of like if you've been to Miami, you get these 15-minute rain showers and then it stops. That's what happened here.
It just was like,
but this time it was just, and the wind was blowing and it was
looked like a hurricane.
Wow.
So we were like, okay. And so we were sitting there in immigration and the power goes out.
We're afraid that,
we're in the dark.
But they had ups on their computers, so stuff can continue to process.
I was like, oh Lord. Yeah. And so after we left and we were coming out of the out of INS,
there was a river in the street.
River is not even a hyperbole. It was a whole monsoon in the middle of the street.
And then Angie sees out of her corner of our eye, she sees a car pulling up, and it was Mario.
Yeah.
Pulling up to get us. He says, you can't get across.
He stayed outside waiting for us because
Right.
he couldn't come in. He stayed outside waiting for us because he wanted to make sure that we got to our car safely. So he helped us navigate the river.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that white glove service.
And then in the car, he had a gift basket that he presented to us, thanking us for the business.
Wow.
Coffee cups,
candy,
native candy, little something in there. And it was just really, really nice. But then we asked him about our tip, which was for our vehicle as a temporary registration that was tied to our residency.
And we had gotten our residency dang near on the last day.
He said, he says, let me take the paperwork. And he says, well, send somebody by your Airbnb. Since it's registered under Lamar, we'll get his residency card and his passport. They filled out the paperwork, and he said, this is on us.
We'll do it for you.
We'll do it for you. And went to the airport to customs, took care of the paperwork, came back to the house, and brought back the tip for us. I mean, this guy is stellar. His whole crew took care of everything. Very friendly, very nice, great customer service.
We can't say enough about it.
So pass along that information too.
Consulting, EXO Consulting.
Okay.
Definitely make sure we have the link. So that we put it in the link below for you. Check them out. They are
definitely.
And the reason we ended up with them is the person that we were going to use prior to that was actually starting to gouge a little bit because of the influx of people coming in as expats.
Now that's something that we need to talk about.
Right.
Sometimes you will find people trying to charge these gringo prices.
Right.
Unnecessarily try to hype up a price just because they can.
Right.
And you, if you don't know any better or haven't connected yourself to communities in that expat communities, you won't know, and you'll just be wokey-dokey-doo and walking around paying these exorbitant
crazy prices.
Yeah.
So, and we used a lady, it's Sonia Diaz, and her link, I think, might be in the description. Because they only work where they work. So they have offices in San Miguel de Allende and Puerto Vallarta. Now on PV, they are allowed to come in with you.
Oh,
yeah.
So she came in with us and did all the talking.
Nice.
We just sat back and got called up. Sign here. Sign here.
Take your picture.
Take your picture. Yeah, like a mugshot,
And then they have your picture come out roundish like it's like a moon
Yes.
melon
So
face.
Let's not even talk
That-
about this picture.
I don't know what kind. It's this. It looks like a wide lens camera that they use. They hold.
Yes,
They have some chipmunk filter going on.
exactly.
Chipmunk.
Exactly. That was funny. I was like, I look like moon melon or something. Round face.
It had me get so close. It just looked crazy. So I still see people are still talking about trying to downsize and everything like that. We've got another question. And then we've got to talk about, I need to hear the story of this drive
Okay.
Okay.
with the stuff, the kids who are tall.
Yes.
Because,
We're all tall.
the
Now, mind
family
you,
is tall.
we're all
And-
tall.
And
We're
I have to
6'7".
say that because I know what it feels like sitting in a back seat, and I'm only 5'4" and a half.
Yeah, okay. Claim that half.
That's right. And my knees start to hurt and everything else. I start getting cranky. So if you became residents of Mexico after your move from DC, what was the process like for you all? And so we just talked about this.
Yeah.
Hey, Valerina.
Valerie, we
Yay.
applied in February. So that meant we had to get to DC, get down to Mexico before August. And so we moved pretty much heaven and earth to make sure that we would be able to meet our deadlines on time.
Yeah, because we had until August 10th.
Yeah. So we knew that we had a hard deadline. So once school was out, we were like, we're out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
And you did say the name of the moving company, but
International
Adelia,
Movers Network.
we are definitely going to put the
Movers
link
Network.
in the
Yes.
description.
Yeah.
And so you can share that too. Hey, Adelia. And then Julie asks, what is the plan for your children's education in Mexico?
Okay, so see what happened. Okay, so the plan all along, or at least put it like this, the backup mommy plan is I've already selected the online school. I have it all in the link, all worked out in the background. However, we wanted our kids to feel like they had a choice in this process. We wanted them to have some autonomy in the process. And there are a number of international American or English speaking, let me take that back, American, a number of English speaking international schools here in Querétaro. So back in May, April, I sent them links to said school, said, start investigating, check this out. Did they do it? No. Now, are they actually interested in looking for it? Yes. So we're having they have until tomorrow to let me know. Actually, no, today's the deadline. Today's the 31st. Yeah, today is the last day that they have to let me know which way are we going with the school. Are you going online? Or are you going in person? Which way are you going? Because we want to make sure we put those, we got to get that ball rolling if you're trying to go in person.
Right.
And so, we wanted to make sure they had just some freedom, just because they are, in high school.
Yeah.
Give them some autonomy and give them some choice in feeling like they could make some decisions on what's going on here. Right. They're torn. Honestly, they're torn. My son was just saying last night, he's torn because my kids did very well online in virtual school during the pandemic. Straight A's, they were killing it, so they know that
and that was because lack of distractions,
right?
And
being able to just focus on the schoolwork and not be caught up in the girls,
and who said what and this and that and the other.
Exactly. And so they had that as they know that they can do well there. Right. So the two of them are actually kind of torn. I think if you asked right now, my daughter would be leaning more to continuing virtual, and my son wants to possibly go in person.
And he says more so because senior year, having those friendships and things and building friendships. But at the same time, he said, but I was doing so well online and virtually because, it's that decision. He wanted us to tell him.
He wanted us to tell him. I was like, I'm not falling for that.
Right.
Because then if you're not happy, you gonna blame me? No, been there.
Also, we're trying to teach them that, you have to weigh all the data and figure out what's best for you. Right. What's going to be your best bet to further your educational future. is it the good grades or the relationships? Because I would be leaning towards getting the education and the good grades, not so much to sacrifice the, personal relationships and being social, but at the same time, this about yourself.
Yeah.
You might want to take advantage of the fact of doing it virtually and getting good grades, because that'll propel you into what college you want to go to, your study, whatever you want to, your major, all that. So
George Washington University, back in the DC area, has a wonderful online high school, NCAA accredited and all that kind of thing. So we have some options in our back pocket ready to pull out if they say, yeah, let's go. Or if they didn't have a decision, I was going to make the executive mommy decision on this is what you're doing,
But in talking to different people that have children that have moved to different countries, a lot of countries do have the international schools. I think some could be a little costly, but even when we were talking to AG3 family in Spain, and their kids go to the traditional local schools, and she was like, "Oh my God, they are fantastic schools."
Right. Now, if my kids were younger, I would not hesitate to put them in a local school. And for them, it would be easy. It would be almost better for them so that they would be able to pick up on the language faster and all that kind of stuff. Because I was telling my son and my daughter actually that being bilingual and having that as a part of your makeup, being able to speak another foreign language is going to be a huge benefit to you in the future. You may not realize it just yet, but if you can speak another language, and particularly Spanish, if you can speak Spanish, that's like a bonus,
Yeah.
It truly is. So how much, what was the cost range for the international schools that you were investigating?
Now one of them is awful pricey, a little, but we've been catching some around the price range of no more so than. Now, the one real pricey one was like $12,000 a year for tuition.
Ouch. Ouch.
Ow. We've seen some others that were in the $7,000 range, seen some other in the $5,000. Those are all in-person schools. Then we've also seen some online schools that were also very pricey as well.
Right.
But then you've got what's wonderful about this whole experience is you have the whole gamut to run the range. Between homeschooling options that are available to you, and there are a lot of expats and have homeschooling. There's like a whole community of homeschoolers that do homeschooling, world schooling, which is a little slightly different. The whole gamut is available to you. So you really have to really think about, or what my advice would be, to really think about your kid and what is their learning style. How do they learn? What's their preferred method? Do they have any particular interests, or what are their strengths and weaknesses? Plugged in terms of knowing what they are. Now, at one point in time, I homeschooled my kids, so I knew what their zhuzh was and all that kind of stuff, and what their particular bents and proclivities are. And so I'm able to kind of know that is an option as well if we ever have to go to that route. But see what they come up with. They have.
I can't wait to hear. Y'all gonna have to let us know, because tick tick tick, y'all. If you're watching,
hello.
Hey Court, glad you made it safely. That's our daughter.
That's her daughter.
Oh, hey Courtney.
Have you heard that they're changing the FMM form for entry to Mexico on July 28th? Things are changing. No, I have not heard.
I've never heard that, but I would not be surprised. You need to, if I could say anything for anyone considering a move abroad or even just a move to Mexico, flexibility.
Yeah.
You're going to have to learn to be able to bend and flow when things change. And they change often. And one consulate may have one requirement and another may have something different. So it's very important to make sure you check and double check to make sure
Yeah.
they're follow, what their rules are, because sometimes it's not even written. Sometimes it may not be on their website.
It might not be. She's saying it might be eliminated.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They changed the staff at the immigration's office, and which made it a little difficult because they had changed their system and how they enter the forms. The people that were working there were new.
Changing the whole staff out. So you got a whole bunch of newbies coming in there and running things differently. So I would not be surprised.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to take a break here, and we're going to get to another question and let you guys know the super chat money goes to our scholarship fund. We were talking about money earlier. And so you guys know we do Beyond the Bling. I don't know if any of our participants are in the chat today. You get your money straight. Workshop for couples, and we will be launching that sometime after we move back to Portugal.
Nice.
So, and yeah, all the super chat money goes to that. So we just thank you in advance. And Aisha is asking, I'm planning to move to Querétaro next spring. Yay, with my mom.
Hey.
I really wanted my mom to move to Mexico.
I wish my mom could have been here too.
Yeah, my mom, I think my mom would have done it.
Your mom would have loved it.
Yeah, she would have loved it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask them what neighborhood they're in because they're YouTubers and people get weird. But what I am going to ask, are there neighborhoods that you would suggest?
Okay. So one of the things that I'm grateful that we did take some time before we got here was to start researching the neighborhoods, start learning, just taking the map and just learning where the various neighborhoods of Querétaro are. And then to really start, talking to people, getting in these expat forums on Facebook and things like that to just really start to get a feel for the neighborhoods. So are there neighborhoods there are a few neighborhoods that are, so if you imagine the Centro Histórico as Querétaro. Now, for us, Centro is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's not our zhuzh.
No.
And that's another important part too. You got to know your zhuzh, because if you don't, you will be in a neighborhood that you will hate.
Right.
So for us, we're more, we have kids, we have older kids. We're not, so I don't need to be in the bustle and the hustle. Matter of fact, keep it down.
Right.
What time is it? I go to bed.
Right. They do like to party.
They love to party.
And they will party until
Hello, last night. Come on, somebody. So we were looking at various parts of Querétaro that were outside of the Centro Histórico. To the north of Querétaro, you will find neighborhoods like Urinquilla. You'll find neighborhoods like Eureka. There are a lot of colleges in both of those areas.
Okay.
Very modern.
Yes.
It gives you very much a cosmopolitan vibe.
Okay.
There's lots of, there's Starbucks, there's your regular, all the.
There's a Denny's here.
Yeah, right. We were kind of tripped out.
They could have kept that.
They could have kept it.
Right? Okay. And why do they love Little Caesars pizza here?
The
cannot.
line at Little Caesars.
Why?
It's better here.
It's around the building for Little Caesars.
It's better here. So we had some last night.
That's what we had last night.
Really?
Because I heard that it was better. And it was, because in the States, but it tasted just as good as Domino's.
Yeah.
But the line, we're not exaggerating. This is not hyperbole. The line, at least 25 to 30 cars deep.
At night,
Just
wait.
And that's not the people standing outside the door.
It's like for Little Caesars. Okay,
it's not that good. It's not that good. So back to the neighborhoods.
But back to the neighborhoods. You'll find in those areas, you'll find lots of modern amenities.
Yes.
The Eureka area has the largest
mall in Latin America.
The Antia Mall, which is gorgeous. The malls have been beautiful. I have gotten my life in these malls.
So it
haven't bought anything, but I've gotten my
life. It harkens back. We went to the mall close near here, and we went to Liverpool, which is
like a department store.
Hex, Woody's, if you remember those stores on the East Coast.
Macy's.
Yeah.
But they have the concession stands with the popcorn and ice cream and other goodies that you can purchase there that have people waiting on you, taking your
It wasn't
package.
quite as good as Garrett's, but it was kind of close.
But I mean, so and you guys have experienced this in Mexico. You can't pump your gas.
Oh, true.
So
Right.
so that takes me back to my childhood because I'm not afraid to tell. I'm 60 years old, so I remember back in the late 60s, early 70s, where full service was the thing in Maryland, and they wash your windows, they check air pressure in the tires. In the malls, it's the same thing.
So
the
that's
services.
That's been nice.
Yeah.
That's been nice. So
and I don't like pumping my gas. I don't like it.
Right. The Eureka
Right.
area that is north of Central Historical, those are nice areas.
Mm-hmm.
To the south of Querétaro, you'll find areas like Corregidora. Now, Corregidora is a very
I said that was country.
it's a very they call it country. Now,
no.
when I'm seeing somebody out on riding a horse, you call that? I mean, what do we? Let's define country. I mean,
Right.
let's actually get to the country. But that was an area that's supposedly very wealthy, lived in the Corregidora area. Very nice neighborhoods that we saw kind of up in the mountains. And when we were when we were looking at some of the houses, and we have these videos we'll be putting those videos of our house tour. We call it house hunting, our house hunting tour of some of these houses. This one particular neighborhood that you're going up the mountain, and when
steep.
you're up that steep, I mean, the car was like
Oh no,
it was like, whoa,
that's okay.
Get up to the top.
Then the views.
Views were amazing, just to die for. Just the views of the mountain and the valley is just absolutely. And at night, you can't even beat that. So that's the Corregidora area. We look there. To the east of Querétaro, you'll find areas like El Refugio. You'll find areas like Zibata. That's way out. Now, you definitely need a car to come to some of those other areas. You need a car if you're going to be exploring literally outside of Central Historical.
Okay.
There are buses that run, but if you're going to be trying to get around, you're going to need a car. So if you're planning to come to Querétaro and not have any type of vehicle, stay in Central Historical. But be prepared. You're going to hear the dogs.
Yes.
You're going to hear the bells.
You're
going to hear the fireworks.
Yes.
You're going to hear the
all of the above. Yes.
and all times of the night.
Yes. And sometimes of the day.
Yeah.
I see a question without a Q, so I'm gonna answer. I'll answer all questions that I see, but if you really wanted to make sure that we see it, put a Q in front of it like Aisha did. So motherhood and entrepreneurship, out of curiosity, why did you get permanent residency in Mexico if you're moving to Portugal?
No, that's for you.
That's us.
You want to answer that?
Because we wanted choices.
Now listen. If we go to this visa appointment on Friday and they ask us the same question and he just sits there like that, that's not going to be a good look.
I know, right?
That's not going to be a good look.
They asked us that.
Oh,
they asked us that, in our visa.
No, it's the way they ask
It's
the question.
the way they ask the question, because you got your paperwork, you're standing at the teller line, you presented your information, and they say, "Why did you get this visa?"
Because you said we were supposed to.
Because you told me to, drill sergeant.
Right.
I mean, like what?
Right.
What you mean? Why did I get this visa?
Why did we get
Because you require it.
require it?
Because we wanted to move here.
Move?
Because we
came here to live, and then he finally came out.
How did you get this visa?
How did went to the
We
consulate?
applied.
Applied?
They asked you that when you got your green card?
Yes.
What Mario said was lost in translation.
Lost in translation.
Is are you retired? Are you working?
What made you seek temporary residency?
Wow.
What made you seek? And so then I had to tell them, because they need to put that in their notes for your temporary residency, to put an answer there. So I told him, I said, I'm in IT. I'm working remotely.
Yeah.
So
he was like, oh.
okay. And then went on with it. But yeah,
So they probably asked that about ours as well, but we didn't have to talk, so we don't know. So just to answer your
Well, the
question,
lady in Denver asked me.
yeah, the
She
lady in
asked
Denver,
me.
yeah, when we got the visa, when we were applying in Denver, yes, they did ask us that question.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably will ask us at the Portuguese consulate as well as they see the visa in our passport. So number one, blame Picky Girl Travels the World. Hi, Adelia, if you're still watching.
Shout out to Adelia.
because she has permanent residency in Mexico, and when I started watching her, she was talking about, yeah, so I'm trying to find residency in another place. I need 2 or 3 places because I want choices.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can do that? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Who
a
doesn't?
thing, right? Like
Right.
retiring early, that's a thing. You can do that. So one of the reasons, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, one of the reasons was because, yes, choices, but also when I was trying to make an appointment with the Portuguese consulate, it looked like there were no appointments left for 2022.
Oh, wow.
And I panicked because we had to get out of the United States. It's time to go.
Right.
yeah.
And I heard Mexico was easy. And so I looked, I was like, yep, we qualify. Let's do this too. And then someone said, yeah, they open up new appointments every month. I was like, oh, they could have said that on the website.
Yeah,
But
right.
here we go again. Yeah,
Right.
they won't. It's on the website and it's wrong, or they've
Yep.
changed it, but they haven't changed the website. So just get ready for all of that. So the biggest thing is that we wanted choices. Yeah, Rick is right. And if the pandemic taught us anything, and this was something else that Adelia Borchade said, is that if a country shuts down
Hello.
and the only other country you can go to, say you're on vacation, is the United States, and you like doing the digital nomad thing, and now you got to go back to the States, because if they shut down, they don't have to let you in as a tourist,
Right.
but as a permanent resident of Mexico, they have to let us in as
Right.
long as we're doing what we're supposed to do, and
Right.
and being good citizens,
Right.
because we're not Mexican citizens.
Right.
I don't know what Putin's doing. We love Portugal, and we like Mexico a lot, but we love Portugal. I just got to be honest.
Check this Portugal out. We're gonna have to come over there when you guys get your place. We're gonna have to come over there and visit.
Yeah.
You definitely are,
definitely.
and the invitation is open. We're going to assume that Putin is going to get tired and just go crawl back into his hole, and we can just live in Europe. But y'all know nothing is forever, and we
Right.
wanted choices outside of the United States. And so Mexico is right. We're from California. Parents are in California. Mexico's right there.
Yeah, for proximity of family.
And so it just makes it easier.
It makes it easier for them to probably come to Mexico than come to Portugal.
That is one of the reasons why we chose Mexico.
Yeah.
But for both places is to have a choice. Is to have a choice. And I spent all my life in the United States. I want to experience other places, and I don't want to experience them as a vacation because it's different.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely.
I think you just got a compliment there.
Yeah.
But again, put a Q in front of your question. Otherwise, we're going to go back to this trip. We have been talking for an hour and a half, and we still have not even gotten you to Mexico.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the drive.
Yes.
So the drive. We left on Friday, June 24th.
Right.
So the plan was, and we stuck to plan.
Yeah.
The plan was to drive from DC. Hey, Stephanie. The drive from DC to Tennessee, stay the night. And first of all, let me issue this caveat. Anything over 4 hours needs to be flown. That's your girl's philosophy.
Right.
So we knew that 8 hours max was going to be our minimum for driving for the day, or our maximum for the day. Where we're only going to drive 8 hours worth, stop, 8 hours, stop, 8 hours, stop. So if we were to continue, if we would have gotten a car and kept it moving, that would have been 36 hours, and we could have been there in a day and a half.
Right.
No, not gonna.
Right.
That was not gonna fly for me. And plus we had the dogs and the kids and all that kind of stuff. So we packed up everything, had our snacks, had our movies, had our, our music and all that kind of stuff. We drove from DC to Knoxville. Yeah. Drove DC to Knoxville, stopped for the night. Then drove from Knoxville to New Orleans because our oldest daughter is on a house sit. Shout out to Stephanie Perry. She is doing a house sit in New Orleans. So we got to stay there for the night with her in that beautiful place that she had in the French Quarter. And then we drove from New Orleans to Houston, stopped for the night. And then we drove from Houston to the border, to Laredo, Texas, which was the border entry that we used. Stayed there for the night. Now, when we got to the border, and we got to Laredo, we got there in the evening and we prepared to get up the next morning pull up my sleeves because I don't know what we're going to have to, I'm from Southeast DC. I don't know what we're about to expect. I don't know what kind of hassle. I had my paperwork. I got the dog's paperwork. I got all kinds of paperwork. I'm prepared to do battle, coming on in here. And it was not that way because we had kind of allotted the entire, from the early morning to most of the day, just expecting there was going to be some sort of hassle or something. So, I wasn't prepared, but we were expecting.
They directed us over where we should park.
Right.
A customs person or whoever came up to the car.
He flagged us over to the line. Park here.
So he asked for identification.
He popped the trunk.
And the van was
packed. We had the van, the back seats were down, all packed up to you can't see out the back. Right. We had stuff on the hood. We were, Yeah.
So I pull out one bag, he said, and he goes, and he looked in it, and it was one of the duffels. And he goes, so all of this is your personal clothing? Yes. Oh. Okay. Closed it. Bye-bye.
Going. And we were like,
what?
And I almost wanted to be like, but my paperwork.
You
didn't want to see this?
Nothing.
I got the dogs.
He even gave a shout out to Candy, who is one of the native dogs of Chihuahua. And said, oh, Chihuahua. I'm like,
you wanted to see the records? I had shot records for years. I had
put all this work in. You need to look at it.
I had, I was prepared. I had all my stuff. And I was like, so that's it?
That's it. And then we drove across the border, went to got directions to get
our tip.
And also to get our
to get our visas stamped and all that kind of stuff. And I would say that more so.
And then drove from there to
that whole process was like an hour.
Right.
And it was only an hour because we forgot to go to the bank to change some cash into pesos. So we was like, oh snap, we forgot to go to the bank. Okay. And just luckily I had enough pesos and we had some cash that we took and converted at the bank or at the little conversion place.
Right.
And that was it. So we were like,
and then drove from there.
So our whole morning that we were planning to spend, that got blown away in an hour. And so we were like, okay, well, let's do now. From the border to Querétaro is like 12 hours. So we were like, well, let's try to see we can get as close as we can get, to maybe we can make it to Querétaro before the sun goes down, but no. So we drove from the border to San Luis Potosí. We got a
Staybridge.
Yes, we got a lovely hotel suite
at the Staybridge.
At the Staybridge at San Luis Potosí. So
we were going to stay there a night, and then
we were only planning to stay a night. But yeah, the accommodations was so nice. It's so nice. So and we were just tired of having to get up and move the next day, So we just decided, And plus, we were planning to come to the Exodus meetup in Cancun. So the plan was to drive to Querétaro, park the car at the airport, and then hop on our flight to come to Cancun. And that's exactly what we did.
Yep, sure did. And that was the trip. But
we didn't have any problems we didn't get stopped by
the van was perfect. We got the oil change right before we left.
Right.
Had things checked.
We didn't have any police issues. No. We dn't have any issue. Oh, hey. That's Donna.
Oh.
We didn't have any issues with, with people trying to gag us for money
No.
or anything. It was a very peaceful,
I had a baseball
smooth,
bat and some other things in the car just in case somebody tried some out.
In case somebody wanted to play some sports.
in case.
Yeah. You want a pickup game right out here in the side of the road?
You can take the girl out of DC, but you can't take the DC out of the girl. Okay,
No.
we were ready for.
Yeah. So I wouldn't do it, but going back to the border crossing, I mean,
Yeah.
the way he checked the car. You could drive in. I'm not saying you should do this, but you could drive in with something.
See, we're not even saying that.
No, not even saying it. But it was so weird because I was expecting.
But see, had you had something,
Yeah,
it would've been
exactly.
all over your face.
Exactly.
He tried to bring one Cuban cigar into the States, and you would have thought he had
he had Bin Laden.
Right. The guy at American Customs said, "So anything to report?" He's like, "Nope."
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we had in our car with us because there were a couple things that people kept saying that you definitely should bring with us. Now, Lamar and I are both 6-footers. I'm 6 feet, he's 6'3". My son is 6'2" now.
Yeah.
We're a tall family or whatever. So I had already heard you're not going to be able to find shoes.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to find clothes. And I can probably attest to that because these Mexican people are really short.
Tiny.
Tiny people.
I mean, we walk our real estate agent. She keeps looking up at us like this.
Like poor thing. Like, they're really
Getting a crick in your neck.
Yeah.
So I do feel a little, kind of, giantish here. That's all right.
I mean, some of the people look like little children in adult clothing.
They do, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But so we were told about that. We were told that the bedding is different in terms of that. So we have our
we actually purchased a brand new
king size mattress
before we left, and that went into the shipping container.
Exactly. So we were like, we got to have that. And then we also heard that it's hard to find spices. So we bought our entire spice
right. Yes, we bought
with us.
I mean, the big containers of
Old Bay. Hello.
Italian garlic powder.
Yeah, we weren't
powder.
playing. We weren't playing in these streets. So
I found onion powder. I found garlic powder, but not the kind of mixed spices.
Yeah.
Like Slap Your Mama and Old Bay and stuff like that. But but the basics, definitely.
That's exactly.
So congratulations, Tanya. I think it's Tanya. For your temporary residency in Merida.
Merida.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Right?
Yeah.
Say hello to
No,
Cortez.
Merida was a area that I kind of considered briefly because I hear that there's a wonderful population of expats there, a wonderful Black expat group that is in existence there. So Merida seemed like a very beautiful area. But when we went to Chichen Itza last summer.
So that's like being like an ant that's under a magnifying glass, like I used to do when I was little, and burning stuff up.
My God.
Hot.
My God.
Right.
I don't like it hot, but
it is smoking hot.
My God.
It's not humid. Let's be clear. It's not humid. It's hot. Like you in the oven. And you're slow roasting in there. Like
so we were like, if this heat in Chichen Itza is like Merida, oh no.
Oh, see, now I didn't know. I know Merida's hot because, of course, you hear, and Cortez always says it's hot. But I've been to Chichen Itza, and Chichen Itza's hot.
It was hot.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
We
Merida's
were
hot.
there in July.
We were there in July. It was hot.
It was hot.
Okay.
So we found out today that this is summer here in Querétaro.
Right.
And they said this is as hot as it gets. Right now, it is 75 degrees outside right now. And at
That's
night,
nice.
it has gotten down to 54 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's chilly.
It's a little chilly. So you definitely need to have a jacket at night here in Querétaro. But that's where it ranges from. Sometimes it did get up into like the lower 80s. but it's no humidity.
Right.
It's a nice breeze. It's, you know,
Yeah.
all those kinds of things. So that was one of the other reasons why we chose Querétaro.
Querétaro.
Okay.
I heard that the weather there is great.
It's
and
beautiful.
Alpha Male, thank you, welcome. But I've seen you before, and I think we've answered this question.
Yeah.
And so school hasn't started yet,
Right.
but let's just talk about because we saw each other at the beginning of July. Now
Right.
it's the end of July, so y'all have been in Mexico for a month.
A whole
Yeah.
month.
So how are the kids adjusting just in general?
Doing okay.
They are adjusting. I think they're adjusting
okay.
very well, actually.
Yeah.
And my son actually, now, mind you, going into this, my daughter was always the one that was like, yeah, you know, because she loves Mexican food. She enjoyed the whole experience. We came to Cancun last summer as kind of like a tester, you know, just kind of to see how they would react,
Right.
how they would
Right.
feel about the whole thing and things of that nature. So we got their gauge then.
Right.
So my daughter was always like, you know, yeah, let's go. My son now was like, you know, he's too cool for school. So it's like, you know, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. You know, that type of thing, right?
Right.
But
we went to San Miguel, and I caught him. He was up on the rooftop. We had a really nice Airbnb in Central and San Miguel, and he said, "Daddy, the views up here are fantastic.
This is so nice. This is so amazing." Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh.
Yeah, and if you've seen some,
I really like it here.
Yes.
Oh,
It's beautiful. San Miguel is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's picturesque. It is what we think of when we think of old Mexico.
my pictures are lit. They are absolutely.
Are they on your IG?
They not yet. I don't think I've put them all up yet.
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
I've put them all up yet because
Yeah,
they are fantastic. Just the way they look, just amazing. But the kids are adjusting very well. They're adjusting very well to life.
Yeah.
But they are more so focused on, because, for example, for our son, he knows that this is his senior year, and pretty much after that, it's going to be time to make college decision choices.
Right.
So I think that's where his focus really kind of is. Like, this is nice, but I got college, you know, coming down the pike. And same for my daughter.
Are either of them considering going to college abroad?
She is. He probably wants to return to the state. Well,
he's talking about
we'll
HBCU.
see how it goes today. Yeah, today it's
he said HBCU.
Today it's going back to the States to go to an HBCU. Yay! But
hey,
but we'll
I'm all about that life. I'm definitely, especially for our kids. I think all of our kids at least need to do undergrad if they're not going to go out and get a free education in Europe somewhere or something. Right? Hello for the free. Hello for the free. That I think they all should do an HBCU, especially, because Colorado is so homogenous. So Greta, I am editing right now our how to get residency in Mexico and what we went through. But for permanent residency, let me see if I can.
I know
remember.
temporary residency is like $2,500 a month. Pretty much the standard for most of the consulates.
It was expensive.
6 months worth of 6 months worth of $2,500, and for the yearly it was like 40
something.
46.
Now with the permanent residency though, isn't that
It was like the yearly was like
180,000.
Yeah.
That's what the Denver consulate said.
Well, I think DC was like somewhere around 141 or either 140 or 160, something like that.
Now, okay, you hear this? Because we were doing this around the same time.
Yeah. So different consulates do different things.
And oddly enough, we qualified for permanent residency, but they didn't give it to us.
Right.
Because, and I think, I'm not sure if you were 6. No, you hadn't. You were.
I would.
You were turning. You were
59.
59.
Yeah, I was
turning 60.
So
So
retirement.
it's all, I think
Right.
it's more so all a thing about, are you planning to work?
Right.
I think
And
so too.
That
Because
was the thing. 'Cause
we
if you
went
were
for
planning to-
temporary.
if he would have come in there like, nah, I'm done, I'm going to retire, then that probably would have been something that would have been offered maybe to him.
Right.
To me, they were like, oh girl, you need to get back out on the pole,
Right.
temporary residency for you. But
she was going to say that for me. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
So,
we went for temporary. We didn't go for permanent.
because the monthly for permanent, Greta, it is silly. I want to say it's like 4,500. I should remember
I
because
think
I
it
just
is.
recorded it.
It's
But it's
somewhere
about
like that.
4,500 per month. And
Right.
the 180,000 from the Denver consulate, the $180,000 had to be in your account for 12
For 12
months.
months, right.
You had to prove that you had that for 12 months. Now, Portugal is $1,100 a month.
What?
Hmm.
I'm just saying.
For
Mexico
permanent
is
residency?
for Portugal for yes, and you can become a citizen in 5 years. Mexico is on something with this $180,000.
Yeah.
But because we are both retired, and she said, "Well, what about you? Are you working? Because I see your age here." I said, "No. I said March 1st is my last day." And so she says, "I'm going to grant you permanent."
Wow.
Nice.
So I
Wow.
think whether you are working or not, more so than the money, because Rashida Dow of Sheeta's on the Loose should have gotten permanent.
Oh,
She's
right.
got more money than we do,
Right.
Right.
but she's a kid.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rashida,
Yeah.
but you're the age of our kids.
Take it, honey. Take it. But the
Right?
thing is, Greta, and I would say this last thing is these are the prices is as of 2022.
Too. Right.
Yesterday's price is not tomorrow's price. So the consulate, that amount will probably change in January. So
And I just want to emphasize that, y'all. So Auntie Trey, Querétaro is not near the beach, and we're in Puerto Vallarta, which is the beach. Which is the beach. We
Yeah.
can 10 minutes away is the beach.
Yeah.
Walking.
Yeah.
Now, the nice thing about Querétaro, there are some hot springs and some cenotes that are nearby or things like that. But as far as like being near the beach, no, we didn't get the beach.
Yeah. Yeah. But the flights to Cancun and places like that are not expensive.
It was only $100 to go from Querétaro to Cancun.
Right.
So
that's definitely doable, because some of these prices out here are out of control. So all of you who are saying, well, in 2026, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z.
Just do it.
Do it. If you could do it sooner than later, because like Stephanie says, today's prices are not tomorrow's prices. And we saw just when we started saying, okay, it's Portugal. When we started saying it was Portugal, we did not need to have a 1-year lease.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yes. We did not need to have a bank account in advance. We did not need to have health insurance in advance.
Wow.
And an Airbnb would qualify, like 3 months worth of Airbnb prepaid would have qualified us.
Wow.
And then once you got there, you got your bank account, maybe even your NIF, which is kind of like a tax ID number, as well as your health insurance.
Right.
We have to have all of that in advance, not even technically knowing if we will qualify. We know we will qualify because we're working with an immigration person who's making sure that we qualify.
Right.
But 1-year lease, we have to have our medical in place. We had to have our NIF number, tax ID, before we even apply. A bank account with some money in it, at least 4 or 5 months worth of living expenses in the Portuguese bank.
Right. Wow.
And an FBI background check. How do you do that when you're in Mexico?
Right. That's
true. We've got a video coming out about that.
That was fun.
That was fun, but we got it done.
We did it.
And we got cleared. But
now, I have met some expats here who have been living here for years. The amount that the bar that they had to hurdle was $1,600 a month. So, and now it's $25.
Right.
So,
it changes.
It changes.
It is tied to the Mexican minimum wage, which goes up every year. So yesterday's price is not going to be tomorrow's price. So I would look at your finances, see if you can crunch those numbers and make the math be mathing and see what you can do, because sometimes you would be surprised that you actually could maybe actually do this.
Yeah, seriously, folks, seriously, because I'm going to tell you, last summer, there is no way you could have told me that this summer we would be packing up to move to Portugal.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
What do you love most about Querétaro?
Oh, one thing that I was just telling Lamar this just a little while ago when we were coming back from signing our lease. We were driving, and the view of the mountains is just, it takes my breath away every time I look out and see just the view of just the mountains it's just, that's amazing. The weather has been fantastic. I love the fact that now we're staying in an Airbnb that does not have central air,
No, it
does
doesn't.
not have heat. Our
It's
house,
comfortable in here right now. I would normally, if this was the States and there was no air conditioning, I would be burned up. There would
Yeah.
be sweat pouring off my brow.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. The humidity is non-existent.
yeah,
It is very comfortable.
very comfortable. So much so that we can, pretty much sleep with the windows,
Right.
with, of course, with a screen
Right.
on the windows,
Right.
but the windows open and be fine for the entire night and not
Right.
have to worry about that. That's
No.
been nice.
And they're saying that this is the hottest that it gets. So that means that as we move into the next part of the year, I don't know if they have a fall here because
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out. I love how friendly the people have
Yes.
been. I love how open and welcoming everybody has been. Just
the
even
services.
and they even notice when you are trying
Right.
with
Yes.
your language, with
And
your
they-
bad Spanish,
Right. And they
your
appreciate it.
bad pronunciation.
Right. They appreciate
They
it.
appreciate that you're even trying.
Right.
So that I've noticed that, and I do love that about that. Oh, what I also love, one of the things that still warms my heart so many
yeah.
times, every time I see it,
See it.
is we'll be out and about, and you'll see some
A daughter or son.
a daughter or a son with their elderly mother or father in
Yes. Yes.
in the
Yes.
middle of the day, just taking their parent for I love the way Mexican culture cares about their elderly,
Their
Yes.
generations.
their children. I love
Yes.
that. I love that I can go to a restaurant and they have like a whole play area for the kids, and they'll watch the kids
They
for you
even
while you're
have-
eating.
They have dog bowls out for
I
the dogs
love
with water.
dogs
Yes.
people. And
Right.
Mexico is a dog.
Dog.
If you don't like
Yes.
dogs, you're going to have problems here.
Yeah.
I love dogs. And I love how you can go to a little restaurant or a store and see that they've put out little dog bowls for water for your dogs. I love that people walk through the mall with their dogs. I just
Yes.
love that.
Yeah, and since Rick and I kind of on the same page as far as technology, what I was telling Angie today is that a lot of things that they do here from a service standpoint when dealing with collecting checks or you paying for your meal at a restaurant or any of those kind of things, they are so far ahead of the United
Oh,
States.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, it really boggles the mind that you can go into a place and they not serve you in this way, and they have it here in spades. And you would have thought that here with the large malls, indoor malls, which we used to see in the United States, they are thriving
Oh, yeah.
here.
My malls are thriving here.
There are
Yeah.
people
Yes.
in here shopping.
Malls
and-
have not been a big thing back home, but they're thriving here. I also love another thing that I also really enjoy is how far the dollar goes. Just
yes.
the stretch of the dollar. And now, mind you, there are some places like San Miguel de Allende, which were much more expensive
Yes,
than
right.
more pricey.
And
than-
Cancun.
and Cancun, but there's some places here in Querétaro that we were able to feed our whole family.
For
I mean, the four
19
of us for $19.
between $15 and $19.
That's with dessert, drinks,
And-
and all that.
And one of the places we went, the burrito was
I'm
huge,
still talking about that burrito.
huge.
Oh.
And
I'm in search of a burrito. I haven't found a good burrito yet.
You know, the odd thing is apparently the way that we're used to having burritos
Burritos
is
is
not
not
the way
Mexican.
that Mexicans have
because
burritos.
as soon as
Nope.
I said rice, he said, "There's no rice
No,
in burritos."
No,
in
ain't no
Mexico."
rice and no burrito. I was
No.
like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
Teach me.
Okay.
The
okay.
best tacos that I've had is a makeshift restaurant next to our
Next to where
condo.
we're staying
I mean,
Yeah.
it literally,
in
it's
the
like,
parking lot.
oh, there's a
Oh,
parking lot.
pop-up.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
But they're there, and they're there so they are so permanent. They're on Google.
Nice, nice,
They're
nice.
on Google. And those tacos.
Oh,
yeah.
let's talk about the food. We went. There is a store
Oh,
around the corner that sells fresh vegetables, and just the smell
smell.
of the fresh
Yeah.
vegetables when you come through the door is so amazing.
Yeah, it
Just
is.
and
I
we had that
forgot that that's
experience
what
in
they're
Costa
supposed
Rica
to,
too. We had
right?
that experience too in Costa Rica. We
Yeah.
were on the side of some mountain and we were
The
coming down,
strawberries.
and I'm still talking about them strawberries. The strawberries were so fat and juicy, and they had some strawberries with some crema that was like really sweet, and you dipped it in the cream, and you
Uh,
oh,
I mean, the notion that you get strawberries all year long in the
oh,
United States,
oh.
that the flavor's gone. The
Yeah.
I love
flavor
the
is
fact that
gone.
you can have a mango tree or a lemon tree or apple tree, and it just grows year round. There's so
Yes.
many things that I love already about.
Well, and being from Southern California, I'm kind of used to that.
Yeah,
But in Denver, no,
not so much.
not
Yeah,
so much.
we didn't get it in DC either. So.
Right? Mocha Mosaic. Love new name. Welcome. Hey.
Welcome.
From both a Portugal and Mexico as well as a remote worker of what I presume of a US based company perspectives, what are the tax considerations to keep in mind when thinking about getting a visa?
That
Okay.
you still got to pay taxes, that Uncle Sam still wants his coint or what have you, but you do have to make sure that you are falling within certain guidelines or certain financial guidelines, or I forgot what the number is that you have to stay under, that you're not actually having to pay back taxes and things because you live outside of the country.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of something to keep in mind of.
And talk to your tax person because we've talked to ours. And so we're retired, so it's a little bit different. But they're usually, if a country has some kind of tax treaty or something with the country that you're in, you're not going to be double taxed. So you're going to be taxed in the United States, you're going to be taxed in Mexico, you're either going to be taxed in the United States, you're going to be taxed in Portugal. And so they're remote working, we're on Social Security, we're retired. And so, it's that we're not going to have tax consequences. As a matter of fact, they're going to owe us.
Right.
From both countries. But definitely talk to your tax person because we're not tax specialists up in here, and I don't want to give any bad advice. But what our tax person said to us is that we will not be taxed twice. Shoot, I barely do math. I'm looking for the cues, y'all, the cues for questions, because we are coming up on 2 hours and we do definitely need to wrap up. I see you all talking to each other. Here we go. Auntie Trey, since both of you are in IT, any recommendations for remote work?
Okay. So
good question.
What I have noticed, and we deliberately took kind of set aside some time to get our bearings.
Yeah.
So we set aside like a year worth of money so that we could have some time to figure things which way we want to do it, just to get settled in and all that kind of stuff. We're probably not going to use the whole year.
Right.
We're not going to use the whole year. Not even close. But what I have found, and I'm still trying to beat back some people like, hold it, wait a minute, can I get settled in
Right.
Interesting.
LinkedIn has been great. I've been finding lots of stuff. I'm getting lots of offers still coming in through LinkedIn, through Indeed has been really a good source of finding remote employment. But I would also, and this guy is still getting calls from back home.
Right.
Unfortunately, they are all calls that still want to use his
clearance,
his top secret
and
security
can't do
clearance.
that outside the country.
We're outside of the country.
Yeah.
So we're having to weed through.
Right.
Like, no, we said remote. No.
The other thing is
interesting
that they are offering 100% remote for non-clearance jobs. However, they're saying U.S. only. So the issue is that for me, and Angela and I have talked about this, why do you care if I can perform the service? You wonder. So we're going to have to do some things to.
There are some companies there are lots of other companies outside of the United States that are looking for remote workers.
English speaking
Germany. Yeah,
that's what
Germany.
you found out.
Yeah, Germany is another one of those.
Or multinational companies.
Yes. So I would say start with the multinational companies. If you are in IT, start with those first in terms of finding those considerations, and then branch into other arenas or what have you. And then I would also say, now I'm blessed in that I've got a number of different buckets to pull from, or buckets to choose from, or whatever. So whether I'll stay in IT or whether I'll lean on the side of using my doctorate in teaching, which is still very much that's the option that I'm using right now, that I'm doing. But to use that, or just make sure you're falling back on all of your certifications. So if you're working right now and your company will offer to pay for some training or some certifications, get it. Certification now. Don't leave anything on the table. Because if you leave, you take that certification with you.
Yeah,
that's right.
Make sure you use it all up. Get all of it. Get them to pay for all of it. Because that will be a great benefit to you when you become remote.
Yes.
And like I like what you said. You give yourself a year, even though you're not going to use the whole year, but you give yourself that much time to breathe. And say, this is what I want to do, or I don't want to do this either. And find something else to do. So people, give yourself some time, give yourself some cush, put some money aside to do that.
We're shipping, mind you, we said we're shipping my whole embroidery business stuff coming here to Querétaro. And I have now trained this guy to be able to do that kind of thing with me. And so we'll see. We shall see. There's business that's already started to line up for us here. So
we already got a tip from the movers that said that soccer jerseys are a big thing here. So
who knew? Okay.
We can do that kind of thing. So.
And there's a large number of expats that are trying to start businesses, or young persons who are people here who are trying to get off the ground and starting businesses who want personalized apparel.
We actually talked to our immigration lawyer.
Yeah,
he
so
needs stuff like that.
We shall see.
Interesting.
I am open to what the universe is bringing.
I love it. I love it. And whatever your budget is, double it.
Yeah. That's true.
Double it. Because, we ended up, they're just the unexpected costs that were not in my original budget.
Yeah.
But
if you're starting from scratch, that's a whole set of finances or expenses that you were not going to have to pay for, unless you try to find some sort of a furnished apartment that already has the things. But we just had to go out and buy some beds. We had to buy sheets. We had to buy towels we had to
all of that.
Plates,
or you ship it. The landlord where we got the place, he said, well, when it's furnished. So we're fortunate in that regard. But he said, it's not an Airbnb. So if you need to borrow some pots and pans, for a couple of weeks and stuff like that, because we're not shipping pots and pans and stuff.
Right. No, we didn't ship. Now we did ship our Ninja Foodie.
Yes.
And I miss my Ninja Foodie because they have Instapots. I saw some name brands ones, but I didn't, some other fake me out ones, but I miss my Foodie. I miss it so bad. I miss
it. Does make life easier.
That we shipped in our shipping container that we knew we loved and could not. I miss my coffee maker.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get him started, please.
Yeah.
This is a whole thing. It's a whole
Rick,
thing.
Moment of silence for the coffee maker.
The coffee maker's in the shipping container.
It can't get here soon enough, though. I need my coffee.
So when is your stuff going to get there?
Probably another 6 to 8 weeks. Probably another.
The issue is that there's a shipping container shortage,
right?
And this is a pandemic thing, and so
right. So So we have to wait until a shipping container is available for them to put.
We'll be fine
Yes.
because, like we said, we didn't have furniture and things like that, and,
Right.
and the clothes that we have. Fortunately, we bought enough clothes that will last us, a while.
Right.
Right.
We just bought a washer and dryer and a refrigerator from one of the other expats that is moving. She's
Right.
moving back to the States, or she has to go back to the States for her job. So we just bought her brand spanking almost 4-month-old refrigerator and 4-month-old washer and dryer to go in our place. So at least we can make do.
Right.
We'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But
If you're on the Facebook groups and stuff like that, that's how you find those
You get that
deals
information,
Right.
yeah.
to,
that's right.
we're gonna close this on a weird note. Let's talk
But
about the
Auntie Trey,
Airbnb.
listen, let me tell you.
Let's talk about the Airbnb in Cancun.
Oh no, she's bringing up that.
That's
question
what
about
we're
the trade.
telling you. Girl.
Come on, that was fun stuff.
Girl.
Let's bring up the Airbnb in Cancun on Poc to Poc.
Poc to Poc.
Walk the pop. Yeah.
This will answer Auntie Trey's questions.
Okay,
about the
so
bugs.
as far as bugs, mosquitoes, and spiders here in Querétaro, the only thing we've really seen
It's hormigas.
is ants.
Hormigas.
Ants just little, and they're little teeny
Tiny ants.
tiny little ants that love to run in Congo lines.
Right.
That
But
will like to run in your backyard, or if you're careful, run through your through your window or and through your sliding glass door.
What we're finding is that they don't treat it the correct way. They treat it as a perimeter thing instead of treating the soil where they're living. So that's why they come in. So mosquitoes. Did at the first.
We did at that first Airbnb. They tore us up that night because that guy didn't have good screens on his.
He didn't have a screen. There was no screen
That's
that could be
on that sliding glass door. So we got kind of eat up. They ate us up. They tore that sweet meat up on Lamar for a
Same
good.
here. They get hurt. It don't bother me.
Spiders, I haven't seen spiders,
seen
but
one or
let
two.
us talk about the cucarachas.
The cucaracha that was in Cancun was what, inch and a half, 2 inches long?
That was the prehistoric Jurassic Park cucarachas that was in our bathroom trying to eat my pizza. It just
In our kitchen.
I can't. I
simply can't.
cannot.
Right. And then where we were there, the young lady talking about, well, we see them in the hallway. Well, if they're in the hallway, they're in
Girl.
the living spaces. What are you talking about?
So thankfully we did not see a roach until the second to last day.
Really?
Yeah.
But we saw their roaches in pictures,
Wow.
and they were just right upstairs. So if they're upstairs, they're downstairs.
And we found one in the little pantry, and it was
in
big
the
sucker,
food
too.
pantry.
He was dead
because we made them spray again and again and again.
Yes.
And the Airbnb host, she really is nice, but I
hated to ding her.
I hated to ding her too, but I had to let people know.
You're going to have to get this ding.
Right.
You know, there were ants in the coffee maker.
Oh God! See, just
all up in it.
Khaleesi, when you said that, I have been no good. I cannot with any coffee maker now. I can't.
Right?
I can't. I want my coffee maker. Bring me my coffee maker. I can't because Khaleesi said there were ants in the coffee maker.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
There's a coffee maker sitting over there.
And it's sitting by itself over there because I'm not touching it.
So yes, I mean any place where you've got humidity, Auntie Trey, any place you got jungle and all of that, you're gonna get bugs. Now, the higher your altitude, the less bugs you have. So if you don't want bugs, you go to CDMX. It's higher. Querétaro, how high is Querétaro?
Querétaro's
6,000.
6,000. Okay, there you go. Same with Denver. And I got spoiled. Really, really spoiled. Now they do have spiders, but it's really, really hard to get roaches in your house. It's really hard.
We see flies, little small flies.
Little small flies. And we have geckos.
Yes.
We have the little gecko. We got a little dude out in the back on the patio. He hangs around and eats up.
He eats up the mosquitoes and stuff, so he gets to stay.
And
Okay.
he chirps and talks to you.
And there's a couple of spiders up there not doing their job
Yeah.
because they're supposed to be eating those mosquitoes, but they're
Right.
not. So they're going to die if they don't start getting their, come on, let's
Right.
get to getting.
Right.
Because I don't like spiders, but if the spiders are eating the mosquitoes and then the gecko eats the spider, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good. The circle of life, right? Let's do this thing. But Denver really spoiled us because in California, all grains must go in the refrigerator or you'll
Yeah.
get weevils.
Yes.
And that's
Right?
and that's something that you need to also remember. If you've never come from that life, you have to now take that into consideration that you
Right.
can't leave stuff open on the counter.
Right.
Cereal can't be left open. Cereal can't be left open.
Right.
You can't do these types of things. You have to have
Right.
that
That's why
right.
Angela, one of the things she's bringing from the States is in the shipping container is these plastic storage
My
containers.
whole storage
Container
container
goes in and they're sealed tightly. So
my airtight storage containers for
Right.
my pantry. They came. Yes, they came.
They don't have palmetto bugs here.
Palmetto bugs. What's another name for do they call them something else?
Yeah,
They
they
have
stay-
those in Florida, a lot in Florida, the palmetto bugs. Those
And
big
in-
black water bugs.
Yeah,
Oh,
and in
yeah.
we
Louisiana.
haven't seen any of those.
No,
No.
haven't
Those
seen
are
that.
usually in the United States.
Yeah.
Haven't
Oh,
seen
it looks like she's got a bunch of icons with bugs on them. We know it's time to go. So
Yeah.
we have been talking since 2:30 Central Time.
Oh
my
We're both
gosh,
on
yes.
Central Time. It is almost 5 o'clock, y'all.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Sure.
love you guys. There's 78 folks on watching us right now. If you would like to support our channel, you can buy us a coffee, right? You can subscribe.
Yes,
You can
indeed.
subscribe. We know that
And
the
if you
majority
wanna-
of the people are watching it not subscribed. Go ahead, Lamar.
Yes, and
Go ahead,
please
Angela.
do follow along with the Martin Family Mayhem at Lamar and Angela.
Yes.
Angela.
Especially if you want to see the house hunting and all of that stuff.
Yep.
Yes,
how
we
you
took
find a
videos
house.
Yes.
of all the various houses that we went to. Now, some of
Yes.
these houses, like we got the video of what we affectionately call Beyonce's summer home.
Oh yeah.
We took pictures of that. We have
Whoa.
videos of that house. We got videos of the whole experience of getting a house all throughout Querétaro. So you won't want to miss that. And then also see where we actually picked and signed up because
Yes.
we got the keys. We got
There you go.
the keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a
moved in my room.
process. I am so happy for you guys. So they went from a 5,000 square foot house
To a 5,000 square
to a
foot
5,000 square foot casa.
Mexican. Yes. That has a loft and 2 kitchens.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
a
living
Don't
large.
tell us, well, we're giving away. Guys, this guy, man, save a little for the channel. Yes, you have to see our house hunting videos because we definitely wanted to make sure that people got a sense for what you would encounter
Right.
when you saw, because we had to kiss some frogs, y'all. There were some frogs out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And we were like,
yes.
what are they thinking?
Yeah, like the
What-
cucaracha
Right?
house.
No, there was a cucaracha house.
Yeah,
There was another cucaracha house where the cucaracha was on the wall, like
My house. Whose
Yeah.
house? My house.
My
Whose
house.
I'm watching. I'm watching.
Tu casa, my casa.
Right. Y'all, we looked at this apartment that was this big. They wanted what, $1,400
$1,400, 1,400 euro.
euro a month
Is that the one that?
with the first one that Rossini showed us, not the pretty one.
Okay, and I asked him about the fixtures.
Yes. And so so washing machine is not standard. We know that.
Right.
I want a washing machine
right.
because
Appliances are not standard, guys.
They're not.
Appliances are not
they're
standard
not
in
standard. So
some
you
of your
have to
places.
ask for
Yes.
an equipped
They're
kitchen.
considered furniture.
Yes, appliances are
They're
considered
considered
furniture. So
furniture.
you might have to buy a refrigerator,
Yes.
a stove,
A stove, an
fryer,
oven.
maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the apartment that we were looking at via Rossini, hey, Rossini, no refrigerator, no oven, no dishwasher. That's fine. I don't need that. No washer,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
No lights.
no light fixtures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
because he was showing us, but the windows were open.
The wires were hanging out of the ceiling, and he
know.
had the
Yeah.
audacity to say, and yes, and we want 9 to 12 months in advance.
Oh,
No.
wow.
Yeah, we say, yeah, you Andrea.
The shower, there was no shower rod, and it was one of those old fashioned. So you have to get that special rounded shower rod.
Right.
No glass. No, I'm like, okay, so what? The water just goes everywhere. That's why the whole thing is tile. What are we doing here? What are we
Right.
doing here? And you had the audacity to poke your lips and look at me as a foreigner, because we did hear we don't rent to foreigners.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
we heard that one
We
too.
heard that one. Looked
Wow.
at us and said, "So yes, that will be 14,400 euro for you to get into this."
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
And we laughed.
Yeah.
And we walked away because our guy found the usual 2 months in advance plus deposit, like we're used to, like
Right.
humans do, right? Because I'm not giving you 14,000 a loan.
It is definitely different out here on these international streets in terms
It
of rent.
It
is.
is. It
So
is,
that's
people.
kind of like the biggest wake up call in terms of how you rent an apartment or how you rent a
Yeah.
house is definitely different from what you're expecting in the States. It's totally different.
Yeah.
So
And
just be
that,
prepared that it's a
Yeah.
whole new world and we're not in Kansas anymore.
that goes to say that's why it's so important with these YouTube channels that you listen to, you follow, and you hear people talking about all the different places and what you should expect to run into.
Yes.
Because if we didn't have Rossini in Lisbon, we're working from the blind. I mean,
Right.
it's like we're in Mexico. We can't go and look at apartments. So to have somebody like him
And
to
the
walk around
neighborhood.
the
Yes.
neighborhood, somebody
Yes.
that lives there, that knows it, they understand it, and he speaks the language.
Right.
He
And
speaks
so
the language.
we said the same thing. And so we are committed, especially on our channel, to making sure that we share all of our experience
All of
so
it.
that you get a full gamut
Yes.
of what it's really like, so that people who are also consider, because Lamar and I don't consider ourselves any special. We're just regular folks
We're
that
just
just
everyday
decided,
people.
just decided to go for it and
Right.
stop
Yes.
being scared and stop being afraid and take a
Right.
chance and go for your best life. And so we want to make sure that we share that the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent in our experience,
Yes.
so that other people will see that, hey, if Lamar and Angela, they just some regular ass folks.
That's it.
Right?
And
Right?
if they
Everyday
can do it,
peeps.
God dang, I can do it
Do it.
That's
too.
right.
That's right. Seriously.
That's right.
And guess what? I'm scared I'm scared, but we're doing it anyway.
Yeah,
Well, I was more scared of what was happening back home.
true.
So
I was more scared not to do it.
Yeah. So
Than
after
to
a
do
while, it was like
Yeah.
we have
That's
We
that's
gotta
an
get out of
important
here.
point. Be scared not to do it.
That
Yeah.
that right there. And what does Adelia say? She says, would you be okay not doing this thing? If you looked at your life,
Yeah,
Mhm.
would you be okay not doing it? And
right.
and if the answer is no, be scared and just do it any
And then it-
doggone
And
way.
then it comes down to, sometimes you do have to look at it. Some things, it's just stuff. It's like we had a lovely leather sectional. I can get another sectional.
That's right.
Yeah.
We had
That's
a
right.
lovely dining room, a lovely buffet, lovely furniture. I can get some more furniture. I mean, it's just
It's
you know,
stuff.
it's
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 just
stuff.
stuff. But if you are not happy and joyous, if your blood pressure is up and all of that kind of stuff, and you can't get healthy food because they put so much crap in it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, what does the stuff do?
Yeah.
So one thing that we've left out of this there are some steps being ordered, and it's not by me. There are some steps being directed. It's not by me. It's by my Heavenly Father. So the thing about this is that these things are happening and taking place out of my control. So if you think
It's just lining up all into place.
So-
just like
what I've noticed through this journey is if we try to do it and it doesn't work and it's difficult, like with the house that we were trying to purchase in the States, it wasn't for us. So,
But it ended up being a blessing.
yes, it is.
But I think
being
it
a
also
blessing.
is your mindset. You have to come to a mindset that I deserve better, and maybe
You deserve it.
there's more out there. That
Yeah.
there's is. I think sometimes we get into a myopic kind of perspective that we only see that the United States is just that's it. There's nothing
Right.
better. There's nothing
Right.
that's all there is to it. And when you take those blinders off and see that there's this whole big beautiful world out here that has
Yes.
so much to offer and so many different cultures and
Exactly.
perspectives and things like that, staying in your bubble, you gotta come out.
Yeah.
Come on out here. Come on out. Get your money straight.
The water
And
is fine.
The water is definitely fine. Margaret, we will probably be, I don't know how long you're going to be in Portugal. But
Wow.
DM us because we're heading back in September.
Nice, nice.
In
nice.
September. So we are going to leave it with this.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
But God.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Good God.
But God, right? We did not have an apartment on Wednesday. Friday, we were looking at a contract. Yes, we did some things to make that happen, but God.
Yeah.
Well, as we talked to our daughter about this just the other day, faith without works is dead.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
I mean, you do your part and God will do the rest.
But it starts with faith.
Yes, it starts with faith. You got
You have to have the faith first.
not
Yeah.
the works first. The
Faith
faith,
First.
That's why the scripture is specific in that faith. You know, and I talked to Angela about I'm a movie buff, so the one illustration of faith is Indiana Jones taking that step onto that bridge. He closed his eyes because that's the other is that we walk by faith
Yeah, right.
and
Not by
Right.
sight.
So
Right.
you take that step in life and you have to have faith that
Mhm.
God is going to take care of you. And he has
And he
always
does.
taken care of
Okay, preacher.
so he's always taken care of us. We have never wanted or needed for anything.
And that's why in this journey, I completely can have the ultimate trust that it's going to be fine.
It's going to
It's
be
going to
fine.
be
It's
fine.
going to be fine. You know, we've got people back home going, but you just left your job. You left a good paying job
Yeah.
to move to Mexico. You're like, yeah, because God told us to get out of America.
But check this. I know
And
we
get to
got
Mexico.
We got to.
That's right.
I just heard on the back end. So there are multiple people leaving the contract that I was on.
Oh wow, yeah.
Okay, and
Steps
The-
ordered.
the PM left and
The project manager.
Yes.
she went to the government. The actual PM on the company side resigned, but found out she didn't resign. They said you're fired.
Right.
So,
So you can just see
the
how
writing on the
walls,
wall.
doors were being shut to
Shut.
make sure that we brought our tail to Mexico.
Right.
There you go.
And it was obvious.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
It was obvious.
Yep.
And I can't say I have had a happier time. Honestly, I can't say I've had a happier time. I've been so ecstatic and just watching things fall into place. With even finding our place, our plan that we initially set in motion, because our plan was to come to Mexico, spend about a month, staying in different Airbnbs in different areas, going to Cancun, going to San Miguel, and then hopefully by the end of the month, we would have found our place, which it completely worked out that way. So I am ecstatic. So now we'll get the kids enrolled in their school and get them set up in the next week or so. And we're going to keep.
And we're going to watch the video about how you got that done.
And y'all going to want to see this because.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I watched the one packing up the Christmas stuff.
Man, listen,
And
you
some of
ain't
that stuff,
seen the
I ain't
half.
getting ready to this one. This one's
You
going
ain't
with this.
seen the half.
Yeah, it's a
Oh
lot.
my gosh.
So I look forward
My
to
Lord.
it.
Yeah.
I'm very much forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to wrap this up at 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Our longest yet, but we had some preaching going on and everything like that. If you want to join us, the Ready to Retire Toolkit is not just for folks who are ready to retire. It's helping you get your money straight so that you know exactly what you need. I talked to some of our clients and I asked them, what are your monthly expenses? And I hear a big long pause. Y'all,
Yeah.
we need to know what we're spending so we know what we need to save and we know what we need.
Right.
Right. And so don't be afraid of the numbers. Just buckle down and do it. If you need a glass of wine or some bubble
I
water,
think
do
the
what you need
hardest
to
part
do.
is facing what your numbers
Facing
are,
it.
Yes.
tracking
Facing
your
it.
spending,
Right.
and seeing that, ooh, I spent $500 on Starbucks. You know,
$1,000 a month eating out for
Yeah.
two.
right?
For real though,
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes you don't know.
$12,000 a year in the stock market. Not but no, it's in our belly and on our
Right.
hips.
Right.
Come on,
Temporarily in your belly.
right? Temporarily in your belly, forever on your hips. And with that, we love you guys so much. Thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you, Lamar and Angela. Hang on. We have next week. We are going to be back in the States.
Yeah, I'm stressed. I'm stressed.
Oh, no.
Condolences.
We have to apply for our visa for
Oh,
Portugal.
that's right. That's right.
And
That's
then
right.
pack up the rest of our crap and get rid of it and do whatever we're about to do. And then the week after that, we have the Yarbros. Y'all hang with us.
Yep.
Hang with
Hang
us.
with
We
us.
love you.
Love
See
you
ya.
guys.
All right.
See you later.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.